Welcome. So in this project we will create this to-do list app. It's going to be right in the MVVM to-do list with the GetX advanced state management. You guys will learn each and everything in detailed explanation about the MVVM, that how we will just design the code accordingly to the concept of MVVM. And also you guys will learn each and everything about the GetX advanced state management to-do list. Over here you guys can see that beautiful decoration, design and everything for this app, right? For the app bar, for the body, for the tags, title, and for the task list over here, each and everything. And it's right in the black theme. You guys can see that we will prepare a specific logic for toggle theme, in which you guys will just implement the way to toggle a theme between white and black. So for now you guys can see that black theme over here, and you guys can see down below on the right side that specific floating action button. So if the user can tap on it, it will just toggle the specific theme. Let me just show you the result. Tap on it, white theme, and tap back, black theme. So it will work like that. So in here you guys can see the specific design for this to-do list. In here the app bar, we set the elevation with a beautiful manner, and in here the user can add multiple tasks over here. You guys can see the tasks over here, add a new task, so the user from here can add multiple tasks from here. I have already just added some tasks over here right in the task list, as you guys can see over here. It's an exercise for 30 minutes, read a chapter from the book, and so on. You can also just scroll down like that, and the last one is get 7 hours of sleep. So the user can add multiple tasks, and from here if you just tap on this specific exercise for 30 minutes, tap on that, a single tap, it will just redirect to this specific page, right, for the task detail screen over here. So in here you guys can notice the title, the due date. For now on there is no due date because we didn't select yet. We will do that in a while. And you can see the priority 1, and if that important or not. For now on it's not important. So if we go back to the to-do list over here, now in here the first thing that I will do, I will just set the due date. So you guys can see the calendar over here, tap on that, there we go, with the calendar window over here. So from here you can just choose the specific date right in the future. Okay, I'll go with March 13, click OK. You guys can see in here right in the green color, due date, the specific manner. Okay, and I'll just mark this as important, so whenever the user will tap on that star, it will mark this as important. Okay, now first we will go to the task detail screen, and we will just notice that, tap on it, there we go. Due date, you guys can see 2024-03-13, and is important, yes. So it's working totally fine. Now go back. Now we are left with this green tick. So what it will do, so for now on you guys can see that the due date is 13 right in the March. So if I just tap on that, it will just complete that specific task. You guys can see there is a cross on the task, and there is the green checked because that task is completed. So as I told you already that the deadline is 13 March, it's right in the future. So because of this we can just tap back in here, and it will just mark this as uncompleted. Okay, tap on it because the date is right on the March 13, it's in the future. So you can just complete it or uncomplete it like that, and you can see the decoration, it's in green, it's in blue. And one more thing, if you go back to the calendar over here, and for now on you guys can see over here the current date is 2nd March. If I just choose this specific date, the current date, click OK, and over here you guys can see 0302 for now. It just successfully changed that, and it's a current date. If I tap on here, first let me just tap on it, you guys will notice it. Tap on it, it just marked this as completed. You guys can see that. And now if I just tap back on it, it will not mark this as uncompleted, because we set the due date as the current date. It will not go back to the uncompleted, but it will just stay on the completed like that. If you tap back, you guys can see. So we will just implement this specific logic, and you guys will learn each and everything in detailed explanation. Okay, so now this talk is marked as completed, and if you tap on that in here, you guys can see important yes, priority 1, due date, the title, right in the text detail screen. Second task in the list, for now on, no important, no due date, priority you can check is 2, read the title over here. Now we will go and just check the date right in the future, 14 March, and we will mark this as important. Go, there we go, due date, important yes. And if I just tap back, mark this as completed, uncompleted, because the date is in future, as I told you already for the first task. Okay, and if you choose the current date, it will not just go back to the uncompleted, it will just stuck like that on the first one. Okay, stays, and mark this as completed. So like that this app will work. You can choose the date, important, mark this as important. Also you can go to the another month, April 18, click OK, mark this as important. So like that you guys will do the specific work for the task in the list. And one more thing guys, if the user will just long press on this specific task in the list, anyone of these tasks, it will just delete that. So I'll do that for the first one, long press, there we go, it just deleted the task, you guys can see. And on a single tap it will just get you to the task detail screen over here. And you can add another task, let's say tomorrow gonna be my exam. Okay, and it's right in the black color, and you can just toggle the theme and also the text that I'm talking about already. Click OK, it will just add that. If you just scroll down, tomorrow gonna be my exam, you can choose in here the specific due date, mark this as important as we did it for the above. And also we are left with a splash screen, so I will just show you that. What I'll do, I'll just refresh the app, and you guys will first notice the splash screen, and then it will go to words after 3 seconds to here, right to this main screen, to the list. Okay, so whenever you guys will just refresh the app, you will just notice that. Refresh the app, there we go with the splash screen. After 3 seconds it will go to where is the main screen over here, you guys can see that. And we are storing that all of the tasks, the data locally with the help of shared preferences. So you guys will learn each and everything right in the detailed explanation. So see you in the project. Welcome back. So let's start this project. First open the Android Studio and then click on this new Flutter project over here. Now in here make sure to select SDK path over here, and then make sure to select in here the Flutter. Then right after that you will just simply click on this next. Now we will give the name to the project over here, so I'll simply just del that, and then I'll say MVVM, and guys instead of space we will give the underscore. Okay, so in here underscore. Now I'll say to do, again instead of space we will give underscore, and then I'll say list, and then underscore, and then we say GetX. You guys can see over here. Okay, now in here we will be working right on the Android platform and the iOS, and the remaining well we will just uncheck that. So simply just uncheck that, the remaining ones over here, and then we will just go and click on this create. So this is gonna just create our project for us. Just wait for a while. Here we are right in the Android Studio, you guys can see over here. For now on, we'll just close that man.dot, and in here you guys can see that readme. Also close that over here. Then we will come right to this, and in here make sure to select project in here. In my case it's already selected. Okay, now you guys can see over here. Now we will just go toward this directory lib, take this down, open the man.dot over here. The first thing that we will do over here, just to remove those classes over here. So what I'll do, I'll wrap that from here like that, and also this one, and simply I'll just tell that. And right after that, let's go and remove those command lines over here. You guys can see. Okay, now I'll just tell that, and for now on we will just have the scaffold over here, the widget. Okay, empty scaffold over here, and I'll add the constant modifier since it's a constant for now, and we will leave this man.dot as it is. Now right after that we will go towards the popspec.yaml. We will add some dependencies, and we will add the assets in our project, and also we will just set the path for the fonts. Okay, now simply just open the browser. You guys can see over here. Now in here you guys can see I just wrote over here pub.dev. Simply search for that, and in here you guys can see that first one, dot packages pub.dev. Tap on this. What we will do, we will add some dependencies as I told you already. So the first that we will add in our project is going to be the get. Okay, so you guys can see over here this specific get, open screen, snack bars, dialogues without contacts, manage states, and so on. Okay, now tap on this, and we will go towards installing, and I have already just checked upon that. You guys can have a look over here about GetX, and then we'll go towards installing, and from here we will just copy that. Okay, Control C, or you can even just copy this from here, copy to the clipboard. Now back to the Android Studio. Over here, right in the popspec.yaml, you will just scroll down, and below the Cupertino icons in here you'll just paste this get. Okay, and right after that what I'll do, I'll go back to the pub.dev over here, back again, and now this time we will search for shared preferences. Okay, press enter. There we go with the shared preferences over here. Flutter plugin for reading and writing simple key value pairs over here, you guys can see. And now we'll just tap on that. You guys can have a look over here. I have already just add this. Okay, about shared preferences. Now we will go towards installing, and we will just copy that from here and go back to the Android Studio. Back again in here, simply down in here, past it. Now what I'll do, in order to just add this in our project, the get and the shared preferences, what we will do, we will come here and click on this pub get. It will just add it in our project, so later on we will just use that in our project. So you guys can see with the exec code 0, it's mean it just successfully add these dependencies. Okay, in our project. So over here, let me tell you about the get state management. This is the advanced state management, and if you talk about the productivity and simplicity of a GetX, it basically just simplifies the state management process, reducing the boilerplate code, and also it just provides a concise syntax, making the code more readable and maintainable. And this just requires a minimal setup and configuration. Okay, and if you just look upon the state management right inside the GetX, it just supports the reactive state management using the observable values. For example, we can just call it by Rx. And also right after that, you guys will learn about the reactive programming concepts with the help of GetX state management. And also with the GetX, you guys already know that we will be working with the MVVM. So GetX basically offers controls and services for managing the business logic and separating the constants effectively. And you guys will also learn about the dependency injections. Basically, right inside the GetX, it just includes a lightweight dependency injection system for just managing the dependencies. So it will just help manage the creation and life cycles of an object, making the code more modular. And also you guys will learn about the navigation. It just have the simple and most powerful navigation system right inside the GetX. You guys will just learn about that, how we will just navigate things. Okay, now right after that, you guys can see over here this share preferences, why we add this in our project. So this will basically just store the data locally. And if you talk about the benefits, that why we use that in our project, so the first thing that I'm going to tell you about the persistence of a data. So it will basically just allows our app to store small amounts of data persistently on the device. So the data that will store using this specific share preferences, so this will remain available across the app sessions, even if the app is closed or let's say is reopened. And share preferences will just provide a straightforward key value storage mechanism. So it will just make it easy for us to save and retrieve the simple data types, for example the integer, strings, booleans, etc. And this is basically really efficient, where we will just store the amount of data locally. Okay, so you guys will see how we will just store the data locally, and you guys will learn each and everything in detail explanation. So I hope it's clear now about the get and the share preferences. Now right after that, we will just add the assets. So I'll just scroll down and get this also down from here. You guys can see over here that asset directory, okay, this specific folder. So I will just provide this right in the resources or even the comment section down below, so you guys can have it from there. Now we will just drag and drop this right in this project MVVM to-do list GetX. Okay, right here, drag and drop in here, tap on this refactor. So it just successfully add this directory by the name assets in our project. You guys can see over here. So right inside that there is the icons directory and the fonts. So that's going to be the icons, the splash that we will add for our app. You guys can see over here, and basically that's the fonts, babas, you will add it in our project. So let's go ahead and add this. So from here I'll just del that, and in here space, and below this hash over here we will write assets. You guys can see over here below this hash, you guys can see the first alphabet over here for the assets. Okay, it's gonna be like that. Now what I'll do, I'll just press enter over here, and below the second S of assets over here, first we will add the dash over here like that. Okay, and then we will give the space, and right after over here below this T over here we will write the assets over here. Okay, and then we'll say slash, and then we'll say icons, and then right and we will add the slash. So it's gonna simply just add all of the images which is right inside this icons directory, and it's right inside the assets. Let me just show you the path over here. You guys can see over here the assets directory. So in here we provide that, and right after that inside there is that directory by the name icons, and right inside that there is that image. So in here we provide the directory name icons over here, and that slash will include added in our project all of the image which is right inside the icons directory. Okay, so make sure the spelling must be same, or otherwise it will not work, then it will give you error. Okay, now right after that we will add the asset fonts, and right inside that the babes for the fonts. Okay, so for the fonts you will just scroll down, and from here I'll just dial that from here to here, you guys can see. And what I'll do now, in here below the H we will write fonts over here like that, and then from here press enter. Below this N, first you will just add the dash over here, and then we say family, and then we say babes, because we have to give the name over here to the family. Okay, and you guys can go in here the name. Now right after that press enter. Below the family you guys can see over here fonts you will write, and then again press enter. Now below these fonts, below the alphabet N, first you will write dash over here and then space, and then below the S of fonts in here we will write asset, and then you will just provide the path which is assets. So in here I'll provide assets, and then we say slash, and right inside this asset directory that's a font directory, so in here you will just write it, and then slash what's going to be the name babes. Okay, in here I'll just copy that name from here. Instead of writing we will copy it, babes nui regular over here. So right click, go to refactor, rename. In here simply just copy that from here, Control C, and then simply cross that from here. Okay, and in here paste it, Control V, you guys can see over here. Okay, like that, add it. The spelling must be similar. Make sure to write it in a proper manner like that. So this will basically just add this in our project, the fonts family babes. Now we will add this in our project. So what we will do, we will just tap on this pub get, wait for a while, there we go with the exec code 0. So it's mean it just successfully added on a project. Now let's get this down, close this pubspec.yaml, get the dependencies first, exec code 0, it's fine, ignore it now. And back again, we are in the lib main.dot over here. Now right after that we have already added the dependencies, so in here instead of this material app we will just have the get material app. Okay, because we will be working with the GetX, so simply just import that library package over here. There we go. Now we will give the title to our app, so it's gonna be MVVM to-do list with a GetX. We can just add this to our dictionary. Okay, so there's going to be a title for the app, MVVM to-do list with a GetX, and we can also write over here advanced state management. That's more good like that. Okay, MVVM to-do list with the GetX advanced state management. So I have already told you about the GetX and their specific working, and now right after that I will tell you about the MVVM, that what we will do with the help of MVVM and get the specific required work. So the first thing, let me just create in here the directories, then I will just explain it in detail so that you guys will have the clear idea then. Now in here first I'll create a directory by the name model. Okay, now right inside the model, what we will do and also what we will represent. So basically this specific directory by the name model, this will represent the data and the business logic attributes of our application. This will manages the data, rules and logic, their specific attributes for our application's functionality, and this is basically independent of the user interface. Now right after that you will get a new directory by the name view model. You guys can see over here, press enter. So basically this directory by the name view model, you guys can see over here, this will act as an intermediary between the model and the view. Okay, so this will contain the presentation logic and state for the view. Basically this will transform the data from the model into a form that will easily consumed by the view that we're about to create, the view directory. Okay, now if I tell you about the interactions, this will realize user input and the interaction from the view to the model, and also our app business logic, the specific functionalities is going to be right inside this view model. Now right after that we will create the view that I told you already about. Okay, so in here you will give the name as view, you guys can see over here. So this specific directory will just represent the UI design, the user interface, and it is responsible for displaying the data to the user. So it's just overall about the UI user interface. So basically this view is typically passive and delegates user interaction to the view model, and we are working with the MVVM in the context of a Flutter, you guys know already. So you guys will learn each and everything in a detailed explanation in the code more specifically. So that's all about the MVVM, and with it we will use the GetX, as I told you already, advanced state management for our app to-do list. Now right after that we will be working right on our model. Gonna specify the business logic of attributes. So right inside that we will create a new .dart file over here, and we will give the name as model over here, you guys can see, and then press enter. Now right inside that model.dart we will create a class. So in here class by the name task. Okay, over here, and curly braces, take this down like that. So you guys can see we just declare a dart class by the name task. Right inside that we will create some variables, the properties that we're gonna need for this specific class by the name task. So now you guys will notice each and everything of specific business logic attributes within the class. We will just declare our property attributes over here, and we will give the name. First it's going to be string type over here, and we will give the name as title, you guys can see. Okay, and right at end semicolon. So this will just use for storing the task title, and here we just create that. declare it. Now right after that we're gonna create another. It's gonna be bold type, and simply we're gonna give the name as completed. You guys can see over here, and write it and semicolon. You guys can see that specific property by the name is completed of type bool. This will basically just storing the task whether the task is completed or not. And right after that we'll create another bool type, and it's going to be is important. You guys can see, and write it and semicolon. So we declare another property over here by the name is important and of type bool. So this will basically just mark the task as important. And right after that we'll just create another, and it's going to be simply the date time over here, and it's going to be nullable that time. So in here we did question mark, you guys can see over here, and we will say due date, and write it and semicolon. So you guys can see over here we declare the property by the name due date of type date time over here, and it's nullable that time. Okay, you guys can see over here, and we give the name as due date. So this will basically just store the due date, and basically it will just optional, and it can be null. Okay, now right after that what we will do, let's get another integer type. Let's just give the name in here as priority, right over here, priority, and write it and semicolon. So we just declare that priority over here. This will tell us about the priority label of the task. Now we will just declare a constructor for that. So below in here I'll say task over here, and in here braces, then curly braces, write 8n semicolon. You guys can see, and we will simply just take this down from here, and then we say required. You guys can see over here, and we will say this dot title. You guys can see now 8n comma. Now take this down, and then we say this dot is completed, and then we'll just pause the false for now over here, and right after that this dot is important. Again we'll just assign false for now, and right after that this dot due date over here comma, and right after that this dot priority, and we will assign 0 for now. So you guys can see over here we create this specific constructor over here by the name task, and that tags name parameters over here. You guys can see. So if you talk about this required this dot title, this will basically just require the title parameter during the object creation, and right after that you guys can see this will just set a default value of false for the specific is completed if this will not be provided. Okay, and right after that if we talk about this will just set a default value of false for is important if it's not provided, and right after that you guys can see that due date. So this will allows an optional due date parameter. And down below if you talk about the priority, we just assign the default value 0. You guys can see over here, just in case if something will not be there for the priority. So in here priority for 0. Now right after that what we will do, we will create task object from the JSON map. So now we will be working right on the factory method from the JSON. So below in here what I'll do, we'll say over here factory as I told you already, and it's going to be simply task from JSON. Okay, and then in here first let me just write that, and then I'll tell you in detail. So in here we'll just provide the less and greater sign, and right inside that is going to be the string type, and in here comma, and then we say dynamic over here. You guys can see, and we'll say then JSON, and then in here curly braces, and take this down. So this will basically just declare a factory method name from JSON. You guys can see over here, and this will just create a task, okay, object from the JSON map. Now right inside that, what we will do, we will just return over here the task. From now on, I'll just remove that and we will add it in a while, one by one. So in here, semicolon, you guys can see, and tag this down like that. So now right inside that, first we'll say title over here, and then we say JSON, and in here bracket, then we'll just design title over here, write in those strings and write it and comma. So what it will do, this will basically, you guys can see over here, JSON title, this will just extract the value that will be associated with the key name title from the JSON map, and it just set it as the title property of the task object. Okay, now right after that, what we will do, we'll say is completed, and then in here we'll say JSON and then bracket, in here string, and then we say is completed over here. And also in here double question mark, first let me just write it and then I'll tell you what it will do, and write it and comma. So basically this line of code, you guys can see over here, this will just checks if the is completed key exists right in the JSON map. Then if it does, it will uses the value, otherwise it will just pass the default to false. You guys can see over here, and you guys can see over here with that operator, basically this using dot, and it is known as the null aware operator, or you can say null operator. So it is used to provide a default value when the left hand side is null, as I told you already specifically. Now right after that, what we will do, we will say is important, and then we say JSON over here, and then in here bracket right inside that string, and then we say is important. You guys can see over here, and you guys know the operator over here, and then false we say. So this line of code, what it will do, this will basically just checks if the is important key exists right in the JSON map, and if it does, it will just use the value, otherwise it says the defaults to false. Now right after that, we are left with a due date, so in here JSON and then bracket string, and then we say due date right inside that. Okay, due date, and then we'll say the operator, not operator, we can call this, and then we say equals to, if that not equal to the null, it simply means that, then we'll say use the operators. In here you guys can see that this will indicate the if, you guys can see, and then we say date time dot parse. In here we'll say JSON and then bracket again string, and then we say due date, and on the flip side we'll say else, that colons, this will just identify the else, and then we say null. So basically this line of code, write it and put the comma. So this line of code, what it will do, this will just checks if the due date exists. Okay, you guys can see, that's why in here we just set this condition over here, if that will be not equal to null, not equal to null, then writing the if, we will show that, and if that will be equal to null, then we will show this else, which is null. So as I told you already, this will checks if the due date exists. If it does, it passes the string value, you guys can see over here, to the date time object, otherwise it just set due date to null. It's clear. Now let's go further. We are left with the priority in here, JSON, and then break it, string priority over here, just write it, and then your operator 0, write it and comma. So basically this line of code, what it will do, it will just checks if the priority exists in the JSON map. If it does so, it will use the value, otherwise it defaults to 0. And this factory method is basically used to create a talks object from the JSON map. So that's why in here we just created that. Now right after that, let's move further, and we will just convert the talks object to the JSON compatible map. So for that specific purpose, what we will do, we will go down over here, and then we say map over here, and in here less and greater than, right inside is going to be string type, and then we say dynamic. That's the format specific. You guys have to follow this specifically, and then we say dot to JSON. In here braces, and then curly braces, take this down from here like that, and here we'll just return, we'll say curly braces over here and write it and semicolon, take this down from here like that, you guys can see. So basically this to JSON, you guys can see over here, method is used to convert a talks object, as I told you already, to the JSON compatible map. And this is basically useful whenever we just persisting or transmitting the data. Okay, you guys will notice that. Now right in the return, what I'll do first, let me just write over here the title right inside the string, and then in here colon, then we say title and write it and comma. So this line of code, what you will do, maps the title property of the talks object to the key title over here in the resulting map. Right after that, we say is, let me just copy that from here, and here we'll paste it, okay, like that, colon, you guys can see, and we say is completed. There we go, the segregation, write it and comma. So this is line of code. This will just maps the is completed property to the key, you guys can see over here, is completed in the resulting map. And right after that, let me just copy the is important from here, and in here we'll paste it for time saving, in here colon, and then we say in here is important. Let's do that in here, and write it and comma. There we go. So basically this line of code maps the is important property to the key over here, you guys can see is important in the resulting map. And right after that, the due date we'll copy from here, in here paste it, colon, and then we say due date over here, comma. So this line of code, what it will do, maps the due date property to the key due date over here in the resulting map. And also with that, we will do one small thing further. So in here we will provide the question mark, and then we say dot, then we say to, let me just go with the segregation, there we go, that third one you guys can see over here, to ISO 8601 string, just have that in here. Now as I told you already, this will just maps the due date property to the key due date, and if due date is not null, then it will just call this method to convert the date time object to a string in the ISO 8601 format. Otherwise it just maps the null to the key due date over here. And we are just left with the, so let's do the priority over here. Let's copy that and here paste it, and with it we'll say priority move it to the side like that, and write it and comma. This line of code maps the priority property to the key priority in the resulting map. So that's all. So done with the from JSON work. Whenever we will refresh or restart the app, we will retrieve the talks data from the local storage, and we are using the shared preferences. So the from JSON method is used to convert the stored JSON data into the list of task objects that can be displayed in the to-do list. So toJSON method is used to convert the task objects into the JSON format, and the resulting JSON data is then stored in the shared preferences. So that's it for the model, and done with the specific verb from JSON to JSON maps the data successfully. Now right after that, we will just close this model.dart and we will go towards the view model directory. Right click in here, create a new dart file. Now we will give the name as controllers. Okay, you guys can see that. Press enter. There we are, writing the controller.dart, writing the directory by the name view model. If you just get this down, there we go. Okay, and right inside this controller.dart, we will be working right on our business logic. So the first thing that we will do in here, we will create a class by the name task view model. You guys can see that over here, and this will extend GetX controller over here. You guys can see in here curly braces, take this down like that. So now this specific class by the name talks view model is the part of GetX state management framework now, and it just extends the GetX controller over here class. You can see that, and basically this GetX controller is a base class provided by the GetX library for controllers in the MVC model we control. You guys can see over here right in the controller.dart, and basically controllers are responsible for managing the application state and the business logic that I told you already. And this specific class by the name talks view model is basically right inside the view model that will specifically design, and right inside that we will handle the state and the logic related to the task in the to-do list app. Now right inside that class we will create some methods, and the first method that I will create, it's going to be simply for the load task. Okay, so in here we will say white. You guys can see over here it's gonna return nothing. So in here now we will give the name as load task. Okay, over here, then braces, and in here we will just provide the asynchronous over here, and then in here curly braces. You guys can see, take this down. And this specific keyword async, basically it's a keyword right in the Flutter dot, and it is used to mark a method as asynchronous. And asynchronous function, or let's say the methods, is one that can perform asynchronous operation. So whenever you guys just declare a method with the asynchronous keyword, it will just allow you to use await inside the method. You guys will notice it in a while. And the await keyword is used to wait for the computation of an asynchronous operation. So it's going to be a future time, and we'll wait for the completion of the operation. Now right inside this specific method by the name load task, the first thing that we will do, we will just retrieve the shared preferences instance. So in order to get that, first in here we will provide the await since it's asynchronous, and then let's just retrieve the shared preferences instance over here. So in here we'll say shared preferences, there we go with the suggestion, and then we say dot get instance over here. Now we will assign this specific instance right in the props. So in here we will just create that as a share preferences, and then we will give the name as perhaps short name for the preference, okay, over here. So it's gonna just store this instance, get it, and store it right inside this perhaps the Optran share preferences instance. So now right after that, you guys can see we just provide in here this await keyword since it's a asynchronous method. Now right after that, we will just retrieve the list of talks that will store right in the share preferences. Okay, so what I'll do in here, we'll create a list, and here greater sign and less sign, and right inside that what we will do is going to be string type and no nullable operator over here, and then we will give the name as task over here list. Now inside that talks list, we will just store the retrieve list of tasks, and the specific question mark you guys can see over here, this basically just indicate the nullable operator. It's mean that the task list can be null. So in here, let's just store first. In here we will just retrieve the list of the tasks that will be stored right inside the shared preferences. So in here what I'll do, I'll say browse, because the instance that for the shared preferences is going to be right inside that. So in here we will provide that, and then we say dot get the string list over here, and then we will provide the key. The key gonna be the tasks over here, okay, over here. Now at the end semicolon. So you guys can see over here we just successfully retrieve the list of tasks that is stored right inside the shared preferences with the key name. You guys can see tasks, and the result is nullable, okay, and there might be no tasks stored if the result will be nullable, and right in here we provide that, and we just successfully assign that right inside this task list. Now right after that, let's go down, we will just set the if condition, and we will check first. Let me just have that in here, if condition, and then we'll check that task list over here, and then we'll say if that not equal to the null. So in that case what we will do in here, first curly braces, take this down like that. So as I told you already, this will just check if task list is not equal to null, then if there are tasks that will store right inside the shared preferences, proceeded with the next steps that I'm about to just write over here. So first we will just maps each JSON encoded task string from the task list to the task object, and then from JSON method it is used to just convert the JSON map to the task object. So you guys will just see what I'll do in here. So first I'll say task list over here, and then we say dot map. You guys can see over here now, and here we will just give the name as JSON string, and then we will just over here remove that null, and we will say task over here, and then dot from JSON over here, and then in there we'll say JSON decode, and now we'll provide the source over here. The source is going to be the JSON string over here, and right at end semicolon. And basically you guys can see that red line from here. Simply just tap on that and import the library model.dart, because we are just getting that right from our model, the attributes, okay, and the error will be gone. There we go. Let's go ahead now. So this line of code, as I told you already, it just maps each JSON encoded task string from the task list to the task object, okay, you guys can see that. So the from JSON method, it is used to convert the JSON map to a task object over here, you guys can see. Okay, now what I'll do, we will just assign the list of tasks, that specific tasks obtained from the shared preferences, to the tasks observable list in the tasks view model. Okay, so what I'll do in here, we'll just simply, we have to create that specific list that I told you about. Okay, so in here, let's just take this down like that, and then we'll just provide the final keyword. It's going to be non-changeable. Once something will be assigned to this list, it's going to be not changeable then. So in here, first let me just write it, RX over here is going to be the list, and then in here we'll just provide the task over here, and then let's just give the name as tasks because it's going to be the list. In here, let's integrate it inside over here, and then we say task, and then in here we'll provide the bracket, and then we'll just make this observable reactive. So in here .obs. So now let me just explain this more in detail. In here, final keyword, you guys can see it just declare variable that can only be assigned once, that I told you already. Once something will be assigned, it's going to not then change. And over here you guys can see the RX list task. It's a reactive list that notifies the listener when its content changes. Okay, it's going to be reactive list, and we just give the name in here as tasks. So it's going to be the list of task objects. That's the list of a task object, and we make that observable reactive, and it's just stored inside this task by the name over here. And I have already told you about this. It's just initialize the reactive list with an empty list of task object over here, empty list over here, and with the .obs is just max the RX list observable that I told you already. And first thing that I will do in here, just we'll control X that, cut it from here, and then we say task over here, and then we say .assign all the items. So we have to just paste it in here, Control V, and from here we'll remove that and write it and semicolon like that. Okay, so now it's just assign the list of tasks obtained from the shared preferences to the task observable list in the business logic over here, you guys can see. So all of the working for this method has been done completely, and this will just load the task from the shared preferences and decode the JSON strings, convert them to the task object, and update the task list. Now right after that we will create another method over here. We'll say void is going to return nothing, and we will give the name as save over here task, in here braces and then curly braces, take this down like that, save task over here. Now, so the first thing that we will do right inside this specific method by the name save tasks, we will just get the instance of shared preferences for the load task above. So now the first thing that we will do is going to be future top. So in here asynchronous keyword over here, and then we'll say await. Let's just get the instance of the shared preferences over here. We'll say await, and then we say shared preferences over here, and then we say get instance. So this will just retrieve an instance of shared preferences to interact with the device logical storage. Okay, now right after that I'll just assign that. First in here we'll say shared preferences, and then we'll give the short name as prefs for the preferences. Okay, over here. So the instance will be stored right inside these prefs, you guys can see over here. Now right after that, what I'll do first, we'll just maps each task object in the task list to a JSON map using the toJSON method of the specific task class. This create a list of JSON maps representing the tasks. Now right after that, what I'll do in here, first we'll say tasks over here, you guys can see, and then we say dot map. In here is element, we'll just give the name as task over here. As I told you already, we'll remove that null from here, and then we say task over here, and then to JSON as I told you already, and then in here dot, we'll say to list. Now we'll just assign this line of code. First, it will just maps each task object in the task list to the JSON map using the toJSON method of the task class. So this is gonna just create a list of JSON maps representing the task list. Okay, now we'll just assign this. First, let me just in here provide the equal sign, and then we say list. It's gonna be the list as I told you already, and map over here. We're about to just map it to the object named task in the task list to the JSON map. So in here map first, and then less than and greater sign over here with the map, you guys can see is going to be string type, and then comma over here, and then we say dynamic, you guys can see, and now we'll just give the name as task list over here. So now we just store that right inside the specific task list over here, and this will do their required work as I told you so many times. Now right after that, scroll down in here. First we will just encode each JSON map to a string using the JSON encode, and specifically it will create a list of encoded string over here. So first we will do that over here in order to get the required result. So what we will do in here, we'll say task list over here, and then you say dot map. From here we will just give the name as JSON so that you guys can know. In here we'll remove that null, and we'll say JSON encode. As object we'll provide the JSON over here, and then we just move out dot to list and write it and comma. Now right after that, what I'll do, I'll just save the list of encoded string to the shared preferences with the key tasks. The key is used to retrieve the list later on. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just cut this, Control X. First in here we'll say prefs over here, the short name for the preferences. Okay, that one, and we'll say dot set string list over here. Now in here we'll provide the key as I told you already, and the key gonna be the task over here, and we'll just remove that value from here and just paste the earlier code that we just cut with a Control X. Now in here Control V, in here remove that semicolon, write it and put it. So all of the working for the save task has been done completely. So this way the tasks gonna be stored persistently, and you can retrieve them later by reading the string list from the shared preferences, decoding each string back to the JSON map as I told you already, and then converting to the JSON maps to the task objects. So each and everything is explained in detail. So let's move further. Right after that we'll go down and let's wait another method. It's gonna return nothing, so in here we'll say void, and we will give the name as add task, and over here braces, you guys can see that, and then curly braces. Now in here what I'll do, we will have the required parameter over here, okay, by the name task title over here. We're gonna just pass that over here. So I'll say required, the keyword. I have already told you about this keyword. It is used right in the Flutter dot, in the method, or let's say the function, to just indicate that a certain parameter must be provided when calling that specific method. And in my case, you guys can see the method add task, so we will provide the required parameter over here. You guys will just notice it. So it's going to be string type, and then we'll say just give the name as task title over here, and over here curly braces, take this down. So the first thing that we will do over here, we will just ensure that the provided task title is not an empty string. Then what we will do, first let me just have the condition over here, if, and then we say task title over here, you guys can see, and we'll check is that not empty. So only in that case what we will do, we will just say task over here, and we will add that specific task. Okay, so in here add, and we'll provide right in the element task over here, you guys can see, and then we say title, the title, giving the task title over here as we set it in the parameter. Okay, and also we will have the priority over here as we added in our model. So the first thing that I will do, we will go top, below, down. In here we'll get an integer type current, you guys can see, priority over here, and I'll just assign the value 0 for now, you guys can see. Now scroll down, and in here let's just provide the priority, you guys can see the suggestion, and we'll say current priority over here, and write it and semicolon. So this will just check upon if the task title is not empty, then we will just simply add the task in our list, okay, for the task list, and it's going to have the title and the priority. You guys can see that specific priority over here. Now right after that, what we will do, if the user will just add the multiple tasks in the task list right in the to-do list app, then we have to just increment the specific priority accordingly with the increment of the tasks that the user will add in the list. So we have to just increment that. So right in this specific method by the name itTask, what we will do, we'll say current priority over here, and we'll just increment that. Okay, so this will increment the priority for each new task whenever the user will add it in the list. Now right after that, we'll have to create the controller. Down below in here we'll say first final keyword is going to be non-changeable, you guys know already. Then we'll say text, adding controller over here, we'll give the name as controller, and now we'll just assign the text adding controller over here. So it's going to be the text input controller, and we give the name as controller. Now let's just get down back to the method over here, and whenever it will just add the tasks in the list, then we have to just clear the controller right after that. So controller dot clear over here. So basically what it will do, it will just clear the text in the controller, assuming it's a text input controller. Okay, now right after that we will just save the task. Okay, so it will just save the updated list of a task to the local storage, and we are using in here the save task method over here, and ensuring that the newly added tasks persist across the app restarts. Okay, all of the work has been explained in detail for the specific method by the name a task over here. Now let's move further. We will create another method over here, and it's going to return nothing. We'll give a void then, and then we'll give the name as delete task, and in here we're gonna have the parameter integer type. We'll give the name as index over here, and now curly braces, take this down from here, scroll down. Now right inside this specific method by the name delete task over here. So basically that method gonna be responsible for removing a task, and here we also provide that parameter integer type index, so the index of the task that needs to be deleted from the list. Okay, now right inside this method, the first thing that we will do, we will just remove the task at the specified index from the task list. So what we will do in here, we'll say task over here, and then we say remove at, and in here with the specific index, the parameter we pass above, in here semicolon. Now right after that, we're going to simply just call upon the method save task over here. You guys can see this gonna simply just invokes the save task method to persist the updated list to the storage, and you guys know it's gonna just simply save the task after the task deletion. It's just that. So basically this method is called whenever you guys want to delete a specific task. After calling the specific method by the name delete task over here, the task at the specified index will be removed from the list, and lastly we just update the list will be saved by calling the specific method over here, save task over here. Now let's move further. Now right after that, let's create another method. It's going to return nothing, so in here white, and we will just give the name as toggle task, and we'll say computation over here. And we're gonna just pass the integer type parameter over here index, and curly braces over here, take this down. Now right inside this method, we're gonna simply just create the logic for toggling the computation status of a task at a specified index, and if the task has a due date, or let's say it's in the past, it will just automatically mark the task as completed. So the first thing that we will do right in this specific method by the name toggle task computation, we will just retrieve the task object at the specified index. So in here we'll say task over here, and then bracket in here the specific index, and now we will just assign that. First we have to just create the task over here, and then the name over here is going to be just assign, or let's say store it in this task object name over here. So this will basically just retrieve the task object at the specified index, as I told you already. Now right after that, what we will do, we will just check if the task has a due date, and let's say if it's in the past, then what we will do. So in here we have to set the condition for that. So if over here, if condition, and then we say task, and then we say dot due date, if that's not equal to null, and also we will use the AND operator over here. First let me write the code over here, and then I'll just explain it in detail. AND operator, and then we say task over here, and then we say dot due date. In here we'll check, and then we say is before. We didn't just see the suggestion, let me just write it over here. Anyways, there we go, is before, and we have to provide in here the date time, and we'll go with the dot now. okay, datetime.now. You guys can see that over here, and in here curly braces, take this down. So this line of code, what it will do is gonna check upon the task if it has a due date, or let's say it's in the past. So the first thing that we set in here, the logic, you guys can see task.due date, if that not equal to null. So this is gonna just checks if the task has a due date and not equal to null, and also with it we use the AND operator. It will check also this condition over here. So the AND operator gonna check this condition also with this first one, okay. And this line of code, what it will do, it will just checks upon the if the due date in the past with this line of code, task at due date is before, okay. Now we will just set if the due date has passed, then we will mark the task as completed, as I told you already. So right inside this if condition, we'll just say task dot is completed and set this to true. Write it and semicolon. Or let's say write in the else. First let me just write it over here, curly braces, take this down. And on the flip side, if the due date is in the future, or let's say there is no due date, then we will just toggle the completion status. So in here, what I'll do, first I'll say task.completed, and with it we'll just say not operator, and then we say task over here, and then we say is completed, write it and semicolon. So as I told you already, if there will be no due date, or let's say if the due date is in the future, then we will just successfully toggle the completion status with this line of code, the logic we set over here. Now we will just go out of this else statement, and we'll say task over here, the list, okay, and in here the specific index, and then we'll just assign this task with a semicolon over here. We'll just assign that in this with the task in the list, and right after that we'll just save and call upon this specific method by the name save tasks over here. So first, this line of code, you guys can see it will just update the list in the task list with the new task with the modified completion status, and right after that we call upon that specific method by the name save tasks over here to persist the updated list to the storage. And that's all. Each and everything is explained in detail for this specific method by the name toggle task completion. So whenever we will just complete the UI design and we'll test the app, you guys will just notice each and everything visually. So let's move further now. We'll create another method down below. In here is going to return nothing, so in here we'll say white, and we will give the name as toggle task importance, and we're gonna have the integer type parameter over here, pass that, and in here curly braces, take this down. So you guys can see over here we give the name as toggle task importance, and in here we pass the parameter integer type index, so the index of the task for each task which you want to toggle the importance status. And now right after, in this specific method, the first thing that I will do, I'll just retrieve the task object at the specified index as we did above for the compilation one. Okay, now in here what I'll do, first I'll say task, the list one, and in here bracket, then we'll have the index specific and write it and semicolon. Now we'll just assign that to the task over here. First let me just create the task object name over here, task over here. So this will retrieve the task object at the specified index, you guys can see over here. and we just assign that in this task object name. Now right after that, what I'll do, I'll just toggle the important status of the task. So in order to get the required what we will do in here task, and then we say is important, and then not operator over here, and then we say task dot is important, not completed is important, that one. Okay, because this method is for toggling the task importance, so we have to just set that over here in order to just toggle the important status of the task. Now right after that, we will just update the tasks in the task list with the modified important status. So we have to just in here take the list of tasks over here, that one, and with the specified index, and then I just assign the specific task, this task, into this list, task list over here. Now right after that, you guys know we have to just call upon the same task over here, the method above we created. Let me just show you that one, save task over here. So we have to call upon that in here just to save the task after toggling the importance. So let's just call upon that. So all of the working for the specific method toggle task importance is explained in detail. Okay, and now let's just move further. Create another method down below in here, is going to return nothing, and we will say void in here, and then we will give the name as set task due date. You guys can see. Now in here the parameters, the first one going to be the integer type index over here, and the other one will be the date time null operator over here, and then we say due date over here. Now curly brace over here, take this down. The first thing that we will do in this specific method, we have to just retrieve the task at the specified index in the task list. So you guys know already what we will do. So in here task, we will give the name as object name over here, and then let's have the list of tasks over here by the name tasks over here, and then the bracket, the specified index over here. So this will just retrieve the tasks at the specified index in the task list over here. Now right after that, what we will do, we have to just update the due date property of the task with the provided value. So what I'll do in here, we'll say due date and right at end semicolon, and we have to just assign that to the task dot due date over here. So this will just update the due date property of the task with the provided due date, you guys can see over here. Now right after that, what we will do, we will just update the task at the specified index in the list. Okay, so what I'll do in here, we'll say task, and then I'll just assign that to the task list with the specified index over here, you guys can see. So this line of code, you guys know already, update the task at the specified index in the task list with the modified task. Okay, and right after that, we will just save task after the setting due date. So we have to just call upon the save task method over here just to save the updated list of tasks to persistent storage and ensuring that changes are persisted. All of the working for the specific method by the name set task due date has been explained in detail. Now let's just move further. Down below in here, we'll create another method. It's going to return nothing, so in here we'll say void, and we will give the name as set task priority. And we're gonna just have the parameters over here, you'll pass it. So in here, let's have it, first one will be integer type for the index specific, and right after another will be integer type for the priority over here, you guys can see. And here curly braces, take this down. Now right inside this method, the first thing that I will do, I'll just retrieve the task at the specified index. So in order to get that, what we will do, we'll say in here tasks, and we'll go with the specified index. You guys can see over here. So now I'll just assign that first over here, right? We'll create a task and object name over here, and we just assign that in this task object name. Okay, now we just retrieve the task at the specified index in the task list. That's the task list, okay, the specified index. Now right after that, what we will do, we will just update the priority property of the task with the provided value. So in order to just get that, what we will do, first I'll just assign in here the priority. That's the priority over here, and let's just assign that to the task dot priority over here. Okay, you guys can see that. So this line of code, as I told you already, it'll just update the priority property of the task with the provided priority. So you guys can see that over here. Now right after that, what we will do now, we'll just update the task at the specified index in the list. Okay, in the list now. So in order to get the required work, what we will do, first in here the task we will get, and now I'll just assign that. First let me just have the list over here, the task list over here, and with the specified index we just assign that into the list. So in here you guys can see we just updated the task at the specified index in the task list with the modified task. Now right after that, we have to just save the updated list of a task list to the persistent storage, and we will just ensure that the changes are persisted. So what we have to do in here, we'll call upon the save task in here. It'll just save the updated task to the persistent storage. Okay, so in here call upon that and save the task after the setting priority. So this method has been completed in detail explanation. Now let's go ahead and create another method. So the method that I'm about to create is going to be future type, and it will return nothing. So in here first I'll say future, and less and greater sign over here, and right in the middle we'll say white. And now I'll just give the name as show date picker dialog. You guys can see the name over here. And now if you talk about the parameters, the first one that I'll provide in here is going to be the bulk context. So in here first I'll say bulk context to context over here, and then the other one we will create is going to be integer type for the specified index over here. And as I told you already, it's going to be future type. So in here asynchronous, call upon that, and let's just scroll down. So in here, as I told you already, that will context the parameters over here. This parameter is required and just represent the bulk context. It is basically used to access the theme data and navigator for the dialog. And over here you guys can see the integer type index. This parameter just represents the index of the task for which the user is selecting, or let's say updating the due date. It is used to identify the tasks in the list of tasks. And you guys can see over here this method is asynchronous, and it's just return the future white, and it's just indicating that it will perform an asynchronous operation waiting actually for the user to pick a date and doesn't return a value. You guys can see it's a white. Now the first thing that I will do in this specific method, we'll just go and show the date picker dialog and wait for the user to select a date. Okay, so what I'll do in here, first I'll say await since it's a future type. Okay, and then we say show date picker. As you guys can see here, there is a suggestion. Just click on that. For now on, I'll just remove that properties and we will add it one by one so that you guys just don't get confused in that. Right at end, semicolon first. Now take this down. Let's provide the contacts. To contacts, okay, over here. Right after that, we'll just provide the initial date over here, date with a capital D over here, okay, date, time. We'll go with the dot now. That is going to be the initial date. You guys can see the name over here. And right after that, now we'll just provide the first date. The first date going to be the date, time, dot now. Right, and comma. Now take this down, and now we'll just provide the last date over here, the property. So in here, date, time, and we'll say in here, right in the braces, we say 2101, and write it and comma. You guys can see that, and you guys can see right inside that show that picker over here the contacts. So this contacts parameter is the build contacts, as I told you already, and it is required to build the widget tree and access the theme data. It is passed from the parent widget. And right after that, you guys can see the initial date. So this property, you guys can see over here, just sets the initial date that picker will display when opened. In this case, it is set to the current date and time using date, time, dot now. And right for the first date, you guys can see over here, this basically just determine the earliest allowable date that the user can select. In this case, it is set to the current date and time. You guys can see over here, date, time, dot now. It means that the user can select a date earlier than the current date. And right after that, the last one, you can see in here we just have that date, time, and right in the braces 2101. So basically what that mean, it just sets the latest allowable date that the user can select. In this case, it is set to the year 2101, indicated that the user can select any date up to that year. So that's why in here we provide that, okay. And all of the working for this specific method by the name show date picker dialog, and it just create and display a date picker dialog, as I told you already, with the specified configurations, allowing the user to pick a date within the defined range, as I told you already, everything in detail explanation. Now right after that, what we will do, we will set the if condition and we will check if picked first. Let me just get this right in the picked. So we will just take this as a whole and it's gonna be just stored right in the picked date, time. So first, what I'll do in here, take a space over here like that and then equal sign, and now I'll just create in here date, time, nullable operator over here, and then we'll give the name as picked, and it's going to be just store that right inside this pick of type date, time. So we can now have this as a whole, okay. Now in here, right in the if condition, if that picked will be not equal to the null, then what we will do, curly braces in here, take this down, we'll just set the task due date, okay. The method over here, you guys can see set task due date. We'll just call upon that and you guys know what it will do, as I explained this earlier in detail explanation. So we have to just call upon that over here in order if the picked will be not equal to null, okay. Then we'll just set the task due date, and in here you guys can see we above all the parameters, which was index and the due date over here, you guys can see, okay. And right in here the index will be similar because you guys can see, and the due date, you guys know what we will do, we'll just have the picked, okay. So in here let's have that and write it and semicolon. So now we also set this specific condition. If it's equal to null, then we have to just set the task due date with the specified index and the pact, in which we just assign each and every code of line over here. You guys can see. So now everything is just has been completed in detail explanation for the show date picker dialog. Let's move further now. So down below in here, let's create another feature type method as we created above over here. Now in here we'll see future is going to return nothing, so in here void, and then we'll give the name as toggle theme and save. Okay, now in here it's going to be asynchronous. You guys know already of type future void, and in here curly braces, take this down. Now in this method, what we will do, we will just create a logic just to serve the purpose of toggling the app's theme between the light and dark modes and saving the selected theme. So let's just get the required work. So in here we'll say first get dot change theme, and in here I'll say get is dark mode. If that going to be true, then right in the if we just switches to the light mode. So in here I'll say theme data, and then we say over here with a dot light, you guys can see. And on the flip side, if that going to be false, the dark mode, then what we will do over here, we'll have the else. You guys can see the colon over here. This will just indicate that it's a else, and then we'll show the dark mode. You guys can see over here dot dark over here, and write it and semicolon. So basically this line of code, you guys can see over here, it just uses the get package to dynamically change the app's theme based on the current theme mode. If the app is currently in the dark mode, you guys can see over here get is dark mode. If that's going to be true, we just write in the if switches to light, and if that's going to be false, on the flip side we just set it right in the else to the dark one. Now right after that in here first say await, since it's a future type asynchronous operation it will perform. So in here we say await, and then I'll have the shared, let me just get the spelling right over here, shared preferences, and we'll just get the instance and write it and semicolon. Now what I'll do, I'll just assign that in here equals sign, and we'll just store this. First let me create the shared preferences, the props, we'll give the short name as props over here, and we just assign this instance of shared preferences right in this props. Okay, now this line of code, what you will do is just obtain an instance. You guys can see over here, as I told you already, from the shared preferences, which is a simple key value store for persisting data. It's allow you to store and retrieve data even after the app is closed. Okay, so that's why in here we have that. Now what I'll do with the help of props over here, the preference, and we say dot set bool, and in here we'll provide the key. The key gonna be is dark mode, and right in the value what I'll do, I'll say get, and we say is dark mode over here, write it and semicolon. So you guys can see over here this line of code. What it will do, it will just save the current theme mode, whether it's a dark or light mode. Okay, as a boolean value, you guys can see over here with the key is dark mode, we just say in the shared preferences. Okay, this way the app can retrieve this information when it starts up again. Now let's move further. Right after that, what we will do, we'll call upon the save task method over here. So by calling this specific method over here, the save task, this will save the task, as you guys know. So that's it, and all of the working for the toggle theme and save has been completed over here in detail explanation. Now right after that, what I'll do down below in here, the last method that we will just have it in here, we will just override it, so it's going to be the on init method. Okay, and this is currently called automatically when the controller is initialized. Okay, so what I'll do in my case, you guys can see above we created the load task over here, and you guys know what it will do as I explained this in detail earlier. So we have to just in here override the on init method over here. You guys can see, I'll just call upon that, and we will just load the task from the shared preferences on the app startup. So let's call upon the load tasks over here and write it and semicolon. You guys can see that. So this method, you guys can see over here, this super on init calls the on init method of the super class over here. So basically this is just a good practice to ensure that any initialization in the base class is performed. And in here we call upon this load task over here. It just invokes the method which retrieves the saved task from the shared preferences and update the task list in the controller. So all of the working for this specific class by the name taskView model, which extends GetX controller, has been completed in detailed explanation. And also we can say our business logic for the app has been completed in detailed explanation. And we'll just remove that Cupertino. We don't need this. We are having the material dot over here, and all just good. Now what I'll do, we will just close that, the controller dot, and we'll go to where's the view directory now. Right click, create a new dot file by the name splash. Instead of space we will give underscore for the dot file, and we'll say UI, and it's going to be right in the small alphabets. You guys can see over here, splash UI. So we will be working right on the SplashScreen UI. Okay, now right inside that you guys can see the splash UI dot over here. So currently now we are on this dot file. So in here we will have a stateless widget, so write st, and as you guys can see, just tap on that stateless, and now we will just give the name as SplashScreen. And what I'll do, just get this down, and we'll say over here import package. We'll go with the material dot. Now in here I'll just remove that, and we will return future builder over here, and it's gonna take the properties. So now I'll just remove it. We'll add it in a while, one by one, and write it and semicolon. Now take this down. So you guys can see over here the future builder. It just takes a future parameter over here. The property will provide, we'll say future, and in there we'll have the future. First let me just write it over here, and then I'll tell you what it will do. And in here we'll say dot delayed. Now we'll provide the duration over here, and in there we'll just provide the second. From now on I'll set it to 10 seconds, and later on we will just update this according to the design. Now in here you guys can see the yellow line over here. We'll just provide the const modifier over here. Since it's a constant, so we have to provide in here the const modifier. So this line of code, you guys can see with the future, that just represent the asynchronous operation. In my case, you guys can see over here, we just delete the future for 10 seconds over here using the future dot delete widget over here. Okay, and right after that, another parameter by the name builder is a callback function. First, let me just write over here and provide the context and then the snapshot. Okay, and now what I'll do in here, curly braces, and take this down. So basically this builder is a callback function that I told you already that gets called with the latest snapshot whenever the future completes. Now in there we'll just set the if condition and we will check if the snapshot dot connection state, if that's equal to the connection state dot waiting, then what we will do in here, curly braces, take this down. So if the snapshot dot connection state will be equal to connection state dot waiting, then we will return in here the scaffold widget and we will just perform some decoration right in the container for our Splash UI screen. Okay, so in here provide a semicolon, take this down, and then we say body. For the body we'll have the container widget over here, and then we'll say decoration and we'll go with the box decoration, take this down, gradient, you guys know, just provide the widget over here for the property gradient, and here we'll say the widget linear gradient, and take this down, we'll just begin this, we'll say alignment, we didn't see this segregation, let me just, there we go, alignment dot top left, and right after that we'll just end that with the alignment dot, we'll go with the bottom right and write it and comma. Now we'll just provide the colors, so in here bracket first and write it and comma, and now right in the bracket we'll provide the colors. The first one that we will choose, we will go with the deep orange over here, and the other color that we will choose, we will go with the black, and you guys will just notice the output whenever we will just test the app. Okay, so what I'll do now, below the box decoration over here I'll say child, and then we'll have the center widget right in the center. What we will do now in here, first let me just provide the constant modifier since it's a constant from here to here, you guys can see that, and now back again in the center widget. Now in here what I'll do, first I'll just take the column widget as a child over here, and in here braces, take this down. First I'll just set the splash icon image for the Splash UI screen, and we will set this right in the center of the screen. So for this specific purpose, first I'll provide the property over here, man axis alignment, and then we say man axis alignment dot center. It's gonna just set that right in the center, the icon image for the Splash UI screen. And right after that, what I'll do, I'll take the children. Now right in the children I'll take the row widget because it's gonna be right in the row, so we have to just call upon the row widget in order to get the required work for the icon images. In here row widget, you guys can see that. In here braces, write it and comma, and just take this down. Now first right in the row we will show the icon images right in the center, so you guys know what I'll do. In here the property man axis alignment, and we'll set this right in the center. Okay, and we'll go with the children, take this down. What I'll do now, in here I'll just take the widget by the name clip oval over here, you guys can see that. It will just take the icon image right in the oil shape, and what I'll do, I'll just put comma in here and take this down. We'll say child, and in here we'll go with the image dot asset, and in here we'll just now provide the name. So in here first string, and then we say assets because the icon image right in the assets, and then right in the icon directory, and there we go with the image splash.png. So in here we'll provide the path asset, then icons over here first provide the slash and then we say icons. The spelling must be similar, guys, otherwise it will give you error. Okay, now in here slash the image will provide. So first in here slash and then we say splash.png. I just provide the specific name over here, you guys can see that. And now in here what I'll do, I'll just show the result right at a real time, but we have to just, because it's a future builder, so we have to return. You guys can see that scaffold and that's a curly braces. We'll go outside of this and we'll say else curly braces. For now on, just add that just to remove the above error. Okay, because with the future builder we have to the specific else, because in here we just set the if condition. If that snapshot dot connection state will be equal to the connection state dot waiting, then we will return the scaffold and all of this design as I explained this earlier. And if that's not going to be equal to the connection state dot waiting, on the flip side we will just run this else, and right in the else we will just return the user right to the main screen, which will be the to-do list app. Okay, so for now on what I'll do, we'll go towards the UI directory by the name view over here, create a new dot file, and for now on I'll just give the name as to do. Instead of space we'll give underscore and we'll say list and underscore UI. You guys can see over here. Now in here for now on I'll just have the state list widget and we will give the name as to do list app. Okay, now what I'll do in here, I'll just import the package material dot. For now on in here we will just return the empty scaffold, so there will be a totally empty screen. You guys will notice that whenever if that's not going to be equal to the connection state dot waiting, then on the flip side we will run this else, and in here we will just return now the to do list app over here. You guys can see that right at end semicolon. And guys, remember for now on it's a constant, so we have to add the constant modifier. Later on we will just remove that. For now on, right in the to-do list app, you guys can see over here it's a totally empty screen because in here we just return the scaffold. Okay, now let's go back to the splash UI dot over here, and if the snapshot connection state will be equal to the connection state dot waiting, then we will return the scaffold, and inside of this all of this code as I explained this earlier in the detail just for the 10 second. Remember that. Okay, after the 10 second it will just go towards the to-do list app. Okay, it will work only just for 10 seconds. In here you guys can see we provide that as I told you earlier. Now what I'll do now, I'll just open the emulator from here. You guys can see the emulator over here, and also we will remove that zoom controls from here. Simply just tap on this option over here and remove that from here, show zoom controls, remove the check from here, and it's gone. Now we will just take this to the side like that, and we have to now just call upon on the SplashScreen right in the main dot. For now on, let's remove that and have the SplashScreen over here. Tap on it, import the splash UI dot over here. You guys can see, and with it have the braces, so the error will be gone. In here add the constant modifier because it's a constant for now. Okay, let's go toward the SplashScreen. There's a splash UI dot over here. For now on we just have the linear variant. You guys will notice that the default orange and black, and also right in the center as I explained this earlier, right in the column, and then the row widget we have this clip oil widget. So it's gonna just take the image right in the old shape. You guys will just notice it, and in here we just provide the specific for display.png over here, and it's going to be right in the center, and it will just show you that output just for 10 seconds. Okay, and then this condition will be just false, and it will go towards the else, and right in the else, you guys already know it's a to-do list app, totally empty screen, just a empty scaffold over here. Now let's just run the app. Come here and tap on this run man.dot play button. Just wait for a while. It will just install the app, and it will just take a little while. Installing the app, you guys can see. There we go. You guys will now just notice the output. Okay, there we go, with the linear gradient color, and there we go with the icon image. And after 10 seconds, you guys can see, as I told you already so many times, it will go back to the to-do list app, and that to-do list app over here is totally empty, and over here we just run this scaffold, and you guys can see the output over here for the to-do list UI, because there is an empty scaffold, and you guys can see totally empty screen over here. So what I'll do, I'll just increase the timing so that we can just track the app right on the Splash UI screen, and we can just notice the UI a bit longer. So in here I'll just set this to 700. That's enough. Let's just refresh the app, and it will be there for 700 seconds, and then it will go back to the to-do list app, and later on we will just set this to something else. From now on, you guys can see that linear gradient color in which we just set the colors deep orange. There we go, and also the black one. First, let me just remove that. We will set this in a while. There is a deep orange and black down below in here, and that's the icon image right in the oval shape. In here we are having that widget, and now we will just set the width and height for this icon image, because you guys can see that over here right overflowing. Okay, so what we will do in order to just get this right, we'll take to the side, and in here we'll take this down first, take this down in here, comma, and first I'll set the width just to set the overflowed pixel over here. So we have to set the width to 350.0, and right after that the height gonna be 350.0. Now we have already loaded the app, so we'll press the Ctrl S, and it will just fine. There we go. You guys can see the output right now for the icon image. It's really look good than before. Okay, and it's right in the center, as I explain each and everything right in here in detail explanation. And you guys can see over here the shape of this image. It's in the old shape over here, kind of. Okay, because in here we are having that widget by the name over here, clip oval. Now let's move further, and we have to just set the tags for our app to-do list. So what we will do, below this row in here we'll have the text widget, and here comma, take this down. First I'll just provide a string, and we'll say to-do list. You guys can see, and in here comma. Now we'll do some style for that to make it more good. So in here I'll just set the font size. So now we will set it to 50, and right after that we'll set the color. We'll go with the colors dot orange accent over here, put comma. Now press the Control S. There we go with the to-do list. Let's make this more attractive. We can just provide the font weight over here, and we'll go with the font weight dot bold, comma, Control S. It's bold. Now also I'll just provide the font family. We'll go with the Babas as we added right in the postpack.yml. Okay, now in here, comma, and Control S. It's look good more than before. We have to just increase the size over here to 60. Control S. It's look good. So it's a constant, so we have to provide the const modifier to this text widget over here. Now what I'll do, I'll just copy that for a time saving from here to here. Copy it, Control C, and below in here let's just paste it, and this time I'll remove this specific text and we will say MVVM architecture over here with a GetX, you guys can see, and we will just make the font size 22, make it small, Control S. There we go. To-do list MVVM architecture with a GetX. We will just convert this right in the, we will just make this a little big over here to 65, and this is gonna be 30. Control S. It's look more good than before. Okay, you guys can see. So all of the working for the Splash UI over here, you guys can see SplashScreen has been done completely in detail explanation. Each and everything over here, you guys can see a lot of codes has been explained in detail explanation. And the last thing that we will do, we will just set the second to 3 seconds. Okay, so whenever the app will start, you guys will notice first the splash screen, and then after 3 seconds it will go towards the to-do list app screen, as I showed you already the result and explained it in detail. Okay, so what I'll do, as I told you already, all of the working has been done completely. Now we will go and start working right on this specific screen, which is to-do list UI dot over here, you guys can see. For now on, let's go back to the splash UI dot. In here we'll just set this to 3 seconds, and as I told you so many times, after 3 seconds it will go back to the to-do list app over here. Okay, now let's just press the Control S, refreshes the app. After the 3 seconds it will go back. There we go, to-do list app over here. You guys can see that. Now we are currently right on this to-do list app, and that's the dot file over here. You guys can see. We will simply just close this splash UI dot, and we are now right on this to-do list UI dot over here. And the last thing that we will do for the man dot over here, you guys can see that debug banner over here. We have to remove that. So in here we'll say debug show checked mode banner and set this to false, and press the Control S, it will be gone. Splash screen, there we go, the to-do list app, and the banner is gone, you guys can see. Okay, now let's go back to the to-do list app UI. There we go. So the first thing that we will add right in the to-do list app over here is going to be the app bar. So first let me remove that const modifier from here, because we're gonna add the specific code, and also we'll add some properties. Then the scaffold widget will not be a constant anymore, so we have to remove that. And from here, let me just take this down, the scaffold widget. Now we have the property app bar, then app bar widget over here. Then let's just take this down, then we'll have the title right in there, text widget. Take this down, string first, then we say to do list, and write it and comma. You guys can see that. Now I will just refresh the app. You guys will notice the app bar for the to-do list app over here on this specific screen, which is totally white for now. And whenever I will just refresh the app. You guys will notice firstly the splash screen, and after 3 seconds it will go back to the specific screen over here, and you guys will notice the app bar. Okay, so let's go ahead, press the Control S. There we go with the splash screen. After 3 seconds, there we go with the tutorials app over here, and you guys can see the app bar over here. Now we will make this more attractive, so in here we will do some styling. So in here, text style as usual, you guys know that. In your brushes, just take this down. The first thing that I will set in here is going to be the font family. We'll say in here Babas, and write it and comma. Now let's just press the Control S. Let's see. There we go. You guys can see the app bar now. It's look more good than before. Now let's just increase the font size. We'll set it to 45 final. Let's just press the Control S. There we go. It's look more good than before. So now let's just take this down from here, and we'll say foreground over here. You guys can see over here this suggestion foreground. Let's just have that in here, and then we'll say pan over here, the widget, and with that we'll say dot dot, and then we say shadow. You guys can see that. Now let's just equal that to the linear gradient over here. From now on I'll just remove that, and we will add it in a while. First in here, take this down, and we'll say colors. In here bracket first, right, add and comma, and now in the bracket we'll say colors. We'll go with the dot blue, and the other color that we will choose is going to be the purple over here. Now right after that, in here down below we'll say dot, and then we'll say create shadow over here. Now right in the React, let's remove that, and we'll say React widget over here, and then we say dot from. We'll go with this one, from LTWH. Just have that in here. So it's gonna just indicate that left, top, width, and height. Okay, I will just explain this more in detail. First, let me just add the specific property over here. We'll go with the 0.0, and for the top we'll go with the 0.0, and the width that we will choose is going to be the 200.0, and the height going to be the 70.0 over here. You guys can see that, and in here comma, also in here. And you can add the constant modifier since it's a constant, the linear gradient over here, and also to this React. Now just press the Control S, and let's just notice that. There we go. You guys can see the beautiful combination of color, which is blue and purple. Okay, it's look more good than before. Now what I'll do, I'll just set this bar text right in the middle over here. So what we will do to get the required work, we'll go below the text over here, and we'll say center title, and let's just set this to true. Control S. There we go. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just get this a little bit down. We will add some padding, and it's gonna be more good than before. So what we will do, before the padding, for the app bar over here, you guys can see that we will wrap this with a widget, and we'll go with the preferred size widget over here. There we go. You guys can see. Let's just have that in here, and down below in here we'll say preferred size, property over here, and then we'll say size dot from height. We'll just say in here now k toolbar height over here, and we'll just have the addition with a 20.0 and add the const modifier to this size over here. I just add it manually, const. You guys can see that. So this preferred size widget over here, we add that, you guys can see that, and this property is basically used to set a constant size using this const modifier. With it you guys can see that size dot from height, and with it you guys can see that specific k toolbar height, and we just give the addition of 20.0. so basically it just defined the preferred size of the app bar, and in here you guys can see that k toolbar height is a constant in Flutter dot representing the standard height of a toolbar. It is basically often used as a reference for the height of the app bar, and you guys can see that 20.0 with it, the addition. Okay, so we just swap the app bar with the preferred size widget over here, and that become a child over here, and this will now allow you to just set a custom preferred size for the app bar. Now right after that we'll just simply wrap this with a widget, and we'll say padding over here. Let's just get this down, the property padding. We'll go with the edge and sex. We'll go with the dot only, and here we'll say top 16.0. You guys can see that. You can add the const modifier, and let's just press the Ctrl S, and there we go with the changes. It's a bit down than before. Let me just tell you about this foreground. You guys already just noticed the result of this specific foreground over here, okay, for the to-do list text of app bar. So basically we just add this property over here to just set the foreground decoration of the text, as I told you already, and it is just assigned as a parent object over here. And in here with it we say dot dot shader. So basically this create a paint object and set its shader property to the linear gradient shader over here. And you guys know already about the linear gradient. It's basically a gradient that represents a linear interpolation between two or more colors. In here we just set that to blue, purple, and in here we just specify the shader over here. So basically this method creates a shader object based on the linear gradient and the rectangle specified. And you guys can see over here we just have this react from LTWH. Basically this specify the top, left, width and height over here, as I told you already before. So basically this just defines the rectangle in which the gradient is applied, and it's stopped at the top left corner 0.0. you guys can see over here, and it has the width over here 200.0 and the height specifically 70.0 over here, and the top is also 0.0 over here. Okay, so I hope it's clear now. And the next thing that we will add over here is gonna be the elevation. So below the title over here we'll say elevation, and let's just set this to 1 for now. Press the Ctrl S. There we go. You guys can see the elevation over here for now. So basically that's it for the app bar. Let's move further. Now down below the preferred side over here we'll say body, and then we'll have the pattern widget over here, padding, and in here we'll go with the edge and sect. We'll go with the dot all. We're gonna apply it to the all sides, so in here we'll say 16.0. you guys can see that. Now let's just take this down. We'll take the column widget as a child over here, so child, and then we say column widget. Now right in the column widget, first I'll set the property by the name cross X alignment, and we will just set this to the start. Okay, in here cross X alignment, we'll go with the star. So the required output gonna be right at start that we are implemented over here right in the body. Okay, now let's just take this down. We'll go with the children, and in there we'll have the container widget, because the required result that we are working in here is going to be right in the container. So we have to take the specific container widget over here, and then we'll do some decoration for that over here. So decoration, box decoration over here, and here braces. Take this down. First I'll set the border radius over here, and the border radius we'll go with the dot circular. You guys will notice that circular. Okay, 15.0 for now. In here comma. Now we'll go with the gradient. You guys know what we will do in the gradient. Let's have the linear gradient widget over here. Braces, take this down. First in here I'll say colors, and then we'll take the bracket over here, write it and comma, and right in the bracket what I'll do, I'll set the colors. So colors, and the first thing that I will set, it's going to be the blue, and also we'll go with the colors dot green. And that's going to be the decoration color for the text that we are about to just implement in here in a while. You guys will see. So in your first comma below the box decoration over here, first let me do the padding over here for the text. So in here we'll say agent sect, we'll go with the dot all in here, we'll set it to 10.0, and right after that as a child over here we'll take the text widget, take this down in here first string, and then we'll say 8 and new task over here. You guys can see that, and over here column, in here comma. Now scroll down. So that's going to be the decoration for this specific text. Okay, you guys can see that over here. Now just press the Ctrl S, and let's just see. You guys can see over here add a new text, and here you guys can see the specific decoration for this text over here. Okay, as we did over here right in the container widget. That's the blue and green. There we go, the perfect shade over here. Now right after that we'll do style for that. Let's make that attractive. The text style over here, we'll say first I'll just add the font family. We'll go with the Babas, and in here comma, also we'll increase the size. So let's just set it to 28.0 in here comma. You guys can see Ctrl S, and let's just check out the output. There we go. It's look more attractive than before, as you guys can see. And now I'll just clean the code, add the const modifier, since it's a constant, so we can add it, the const modifier. And also over here all just fine. Now we will add the text form field over here, but before that we will go right at top and create the instance for the task view model. Above in here, let me just take this down from here. First I'll provide the final key over here. It's going to be non-changeables. Once something will be assigned to that, it is gonna not change then. So in here final key, then we'll say task view model over here, then we will give the name over here task view model, and now we'll just say get dot put in here. Now I'll say the task task view model over here and write it and semicolon. Simply tap on that and import that package over here. You guys can see get. From here remove the constant modifier and all of the error has been gone. Now you guys can see that. So basically this line of code is just initialize and register the instance of a task view model, and over here we are using the get package, okay, for the state management. It just contain the logic for managing tasks in our application for a task view model. So now basically in here you guys can see this specific line of code. Okay, firstly we will talk about this. So get.put over here task view model. This line is basically just using the get package over here, you guys can see, to create an instance of a task view model, and we just register that as a singleton in the GetX dependency in GetX system. So get.put, it basically just registers the instance of task view model, as I told you already. And you guys can see now this line of code over here, final key task view model, and we give the name object over here task view model. So basically this just declare variable named task view model of type task view model over here, and we just initialize it with the instance created by the get.put task view model over here. We just assign this into that task view model variable name over here. Okay, so now we can successfully just get things with the help of instance over here from the task view model. And firstly we'll go to display screen over here. From here we will remove that const modifier for now, because the to-do list app over here it's not a constant anymore, and from here we remove the const key. Okay, it's not a constant anymore since we add a lot of things over here. Now let's just remove that const modifier and all just fine over here. Let's close that, display screen, back to the to-do list UI dot over here. Now we successfully just create the instance over here. Now let's just go down below the container over here. We'll say text form field over here, write it and comma and take this down. First in here we'll say controller, and then we'll say task view model instance over here, then we'll say dot controller. Now take this down, we'll say on field submitted over here. We're gonna pass the value once something will be assigned to it on the field submitted. Then in here it will be writing the value. Then let's just redirect it to the task view model, the instance name over here, variable name, and then we'll simply just get the method by the name aTask. That the specific method which is right inside the task view model, and in here we are getting that with the help of instance. Okay, now in here I'll just provide the task title, and the task title can be that specific value. Okay, once the user will assign something, then it will be right on the field submitted and it will go to this value. So the task title gonna be that specific value over here. Just don't get confused in that, you guys will notice that. Okay, now let's move further. From here let's just take this down, and what I'll do, I'll say let's do the decoration, and then we have go with the input decoration for the text form field. In here brushes, take this down, and the first thing that we will do for the input decoration, let's add the label text over here in your string first. Then we say enter your task, and in here let's give some dots and write it and comma. Now what I'll do, Let's just hot reload the app, and you guys will notice that because we made a major change, so we have to hot reload the app. You guys will notice the text form field over here. There we go, enter your talks, and that's the text form field. Tap on it. You guys can see the cursor right in the purple color over here, and there we go with the keyboard. You can type whatever you want in here for now. Let's remove that, take this down. We will make this more attractive. Let's go ahead. So right after the label text, the next thing that we will do, we'll go with the label style. Okay, so in here, text style, comma at end, take this down. Let's set the color for it. We'll choose the color, we'll go with the dot blue, and right over here, comma. Now we will choose the focus border for it, so it's going to be for the outline input border. In here, widget brushes over here, comma, and take this down. The first thing we'll set for it, it's going to be the border site. So in here, border site, let's just choose the color for it. We'll go with the colors dot green, and also we'll set the width, which will be 2.0, and write it and comma. You guys can see that. Now right after that, I'll just take this down and we'll say border radius. We'll provide the border radius. We'll go with the dot circular, and we have to just set it to 25.0. over here, write it and comma. You guys can see that. Now right after the info decoration, in here we'll do the style, text style over here, and right in that we'll set the color. We'll go with the colors dot black, not blue, black one. There we go, which will be different. And right after that, what I'll do now, let's just choose the cursor color, and we'll go with the colors dot blue, and you guys can see that over here. Now first let me just clean the code to add the const modifier, since it's a constant. Now we can just refresh the app. Splash screen after 3 seconds. We'll go to the to-do list. There we go. Now just tap on here. There we go, with the green border side right in the circular shape over here. And also if I enter something over here, it's going to be right in the black color. You guys can see, and you guys can see the cursor color over here, which is blue. Okay, it's working totally fine. But now what I'll do, you guys can see over here, enter your talks. It's a bit above, which is not look good, so we have to just fix that. Let me just take this down, and we have to add over here below the add a new text. So in here we have to add the size box, and we'll give the height 30 point over here, write it and comma, add the const modifier. I'll just check it now. Control S, refresh the app, and it's a bit down, and tap in here. You guys can see enter your talks, which is look good more than before. So now let's move further, and if you guys just didn't see that over here, we will just take this down from here like we did over here, and also over here for the color. Okay, you guys can see that all just fine. So now whenever the user will enter their task, right down below in here, first I'll add the text. So down below the text form field in here, we'll say center widget. You guys can see that over here, comma, and tag it down from here. First I'll just take the text widget over here as a child. So in here first child, then we say text widget, and let's just take this down. Now in here I'll just provide the text as task over here, and in here comma, Control S, let's just see. There we go, you guys can see in here. Now the first thing that we will do, we will add the size box. So from here I'll just copy that, you guys can see, and below the text form field over here, let's paste it and we'll set this to 40. Okay, Control S, and you guys will notice it will be a bit down. There we go, you guys can see. Now I'll do a style for that. So in here, text style, let's just take this down, and first I'll just increase the font size. We'll set it to 25.0, and also I'll just add the font family, which will be Babus over here, and comma. Now we'll also just add the font weight. We'll go with the font weight dot bold, comma, Control S. You guys can see over here the dots. Okay, this look more attractive than before. Now what I'll do, I'll just add the decoration for that, for the text, and also it's going to be right in the background like we just added over here for the add new task over here. So what I'll do, I'll just wrap this with a container widget over here, you guys can see. And now right in the container, first I'll just add the margin. So in here we'll say add insect, and we will go with the dot symmetric. We will go with the vertical, we'll set it to 10.0. Now right after that I'll set the width, we'll set it to 80.0, and the height will be similar too. Now right after that, let's go with the decoration, box decoration. You guys know already what we will do. So in here shape, and then we say box shape, and we'll go with the dot circle. It's going to be right in the circle, you guys will notice it in a while. First let me just complete that. So in here now gradient, we'll go with the linear gradient, you guys can see over here. Now just take this down, let's begin it. So in here we'll say alignment dot, we'll go with the top left, and right after that we'll say just end it with the alignment dot bottom right. You guys can see that. Now right after that, scroll down below this, let's now just provide the color. So in here first bracket, right at end comma, and in here we'll say colors dot, we'll go with the pink accent, and also the other color will be light blue accent over here, you guys can see that. And now I'll just clean the code from these yellow lines, since it's a constant, so we have to add the const modifier, so the code will be clean then. You guys can see that for here. Okay, now press the Control S, and you guys will notice that. There we go, it's right in the circular shape, and there we go with the pink accent and with the light blue accent over here, and you guys can see it's in a circle. So we can just go down now. Now right after that, down below in here we will show the talk title and also the due date. With it there will be a little more work, so let's just start working on that. Below the container over here, we're gonna have the expanded widget over here. You guys can see the suggestion over here. For now on, I'll just remove that child and we will add it in a while. Now let's just take this down. and in here first, right in the expanded widget, I'll have the child and we will take the obx and expanded widget gonna be the parent. So in here let's have the obx. You guys can see that. Now let's just take this down from here, and first let me tell you about this obx. I have already told you about this right in the business logic. So in here we add this obx. Okay, so basically obx widget, it's a crucial part of the GetX state management library, and in here you guys can see that it stands for the observable builder, and it is used to reactively rebuild a widget whenever the observe or X variable change. So basically in GetX, observables are variables that can be observed for changes, and they are usually the instances of the Rx classes, as I told you already right in the business logic, such as Rx integer, or we can say Rx list, etc. So now let's move ahead. In here we will just redirect it to the list view widget over here. So I'll say list and we'll go with the view, as you guys can see. Now in here with it I'll just say dot builder. In here I'll just remove that and we will add it in a while. Now let's just take this down from here. And guys, one more thing, right in here, as I told you already about the obx, and in this case you guys can see that it's just observing this specific list view dot builder. Whenever the task list will be updated, then this list view dot builder will rebuild. And right inside that, what I'll do now, I'll just have the item count, and we'll say the task view model, and then we'll have the tasks, as I told you already, dot the total length over here. So it's gonna just observing changes right in this task view model with the task over here. So whenever the task list will be updated, then this list view dot builder will rebuild. Now right after that, what I'll do, I'll just provide the item builder, and in here let's provide the context over here, and then let's create the index. Now in here curly braces, and take this down from here. And one more thing about this list view dot builder, it is suitable for long list, as only create the widget for the items that are currently will be in the view. And basically it's take the item count, as I told you already, and also the item builder as a required parameter. Now let's move further, and I have already told you about this, that just specify the number of items in the list which is equal to the length of the task list in the task view model. And the item builder over here, you guys can see that it's a callback, and that is basically call for each item in the list. It just builds the widget for corresponding item at the given index. Now, so first in here I'll just create the task. Final keyword, it's going to be non-changeable. Once something will be assigned to the specific task, then it will not change. So in here we'll say task view model, we'll go with the task, all of the tasks over here with the specified index. So first have that in here, and we just successfully assigned that to this task. It's going to be right inside that. Now right after that, what I'll do, I'll just take this down, and we will return in here the list tile widget over here. You guys can see that right at n semicolon, and take this down from here. And basically that list tile widget, it's a material design list tile. It is a single fixed height row that typically contains some text, and as well as an option icon. So in this case, in our case, it just display the talks title as I told you already, and an optional due date that we will show. So in here, first let's go with the title text widget over here, take this down, then we'll say task dot is completed. And you guys can see that task, we are getting that from here, and right inside that we just assign that. Okay, now let's move further. So if that task gonna be completed, then right in the if, that's the condition operator over here, we will use that. So it will just indicate that if the task gonna be completed, right over here if we say do that. So in here, first string, and I'll just provide this checked over here, the green checked. You guys can copy that from the Google, that green check, and right after that with it I'll have the title for sure over here. So in here we'll say $, and over here curly braces, then we say task dot title, and right after that, if that task cannot be completed, then on the flip side we'll just provide it here colon, and that will indicate the else. Then we will simply just show the task title over here, but the blue checked will be not there, and it will just indicate that it is not completed. Okay, you guys will notice it whenever we will complete that and we will test the app. You guys will usually just experience the app. So in here with the title, now right after that we will do the style for that. So in here, style, text style, let's just take this down from here. We will do the decoration over here. First let me just scroll down, and in here we'll say decoration. There we go, this occasion. Now in here what I'll do, I'll say if task gonna be is completed, then in here conditional operator if, then we'll take the text decoration over here and we'll go with a dot line through, and on the flip side if that's not going to be completed, then we will show this specific decoration called null. Okay, and over here comma. So in here for the style, text style widget over here, then decoration, then in here we say if task can be completed, then do that. If task is not completed, then do that. Now let's move further. We'll do the provide the color over here. So we'll say color, and we'll say in here also if task gonna be completed, then we'll show the color called green over here. If task gonna be completed, and if task gonna be not completed, then what we will do, so in here on the flip side else, and then we'll have the color dot blue, right, and comma. There we go. Now right after that we'll also provide the font weight, so we will make that more attractive. So in here we'll say if task gonna be completed, then right in the if what I'll do, I'll say font weight. First let me give a space in here, and then we say font weight dot bold. If task gonna be completed, it's gonna be right in the bold font weight. And on the flip side what I'll do, if task not gonna be completed, then we will go with the font weight dot normal over here comma. You guys can see that, so you guys can see over here. Now we will just hold to load the app, and you guys will notice the specific design. But first in here you guys can see that red line, tap on that and just import this library package, okay, for objects. The error will be gone. There we go, you guys can see. Now simply scroll down. From now on, as I explained this in detail explanation, each and everything right here, you guys will notice everything over here with the specific design that I told you about. The title, if it's completed, it will do that. For the style, for the color, it will do that. For the font weight, it will do that. Okay, now let's just go ahead and we will just hot reload the app, since we made a major change, so we have to hot reload the app. That's the splash screen. After 3 seconds we'll go toward our work. So in here you guys didn't notice anything yet because we didn't add a new task yet over here. Okay, so now if I type in here, there we go with the keyboard. You can also type from here and you can manually go with the keyboard. Okay, now in here I'll say tomorrow will be my birthday. So that's our new task over here, and you can also just add the emojis over here. Let's take this down, and from here just tap on this click or press enter. You guys can see over here it's working totally fine. From now on you guys can see that specific title over here, tomorrow will be my birthday. And in here if you guys notice, the task is not completed because you didn't see the blue check with it. So later on, right in the trailing, we will add the icon checked, so whenever the user will type in here, we will add the icon over here. So the user whenever will tap on this specific icon that we will just create, it will then make the task completed, and you guys will notice the blue check over here with it. So from now on in here the task is not completed, so it will go towards the else, only it will just show you the title, and you guys can see that over here. And for the styling, you guys can see for the decoration, the tags from now on in this case it's not completed. Okay, it will just get that, and it will not show you the text decoration with the light through. It'll just show you the null design, and you guys can see that over here. And over here you guys can see also for the color, the task is not completed in this case because we didn't add the icon yet, so it will go towards the color blue, and you guys can see over here the color blue for the title. Okay, for the task. Now in here the font weight, as similar as I told you already for the above ones, the task is not completed in this case, and you guys can see the font weight, it's really normal for now. Okay, now let's move further, and it's working totally fine. Now right after that, before adding the icons over here, first we will add the subtitle. So subtitle over here, basically it just displays the due date as a subtitle if it exists. Okay, now in here we say subtitle, and then we say task dot due date. If that not equal to null, then what we will do, that's the null over here. For now on, remove the comma, take this down. If that's not going to be equal to null, right in here the conditional operator if. So we'll show the text widget over here, and right in it I'll say due date. And now let's just get that. So we'll say task dot due date is going to be right inside the string. Let me just cut that from here and right into the string, first space, paste it. Now we'll see in here due date. There we go, this equation. I'll check over here, and then we say to local. Now let me just go to the site. So right in the subtitle, we just successfully add the secondary tracks. It's going to be just below the main title over here. Okay, now right after that, in here you guys can see if that's not going to be equal to null, as I told you already, then right in the if, we'll take the text widget over here, the text, and then in here we just get the due date. So basically this just check if the due date property of the current text is not null, meaning that it talks as a due date. So it will just show you due date along with the localized due date over here. You guys can see that, and it will just only return that if that not going to be equal to null. Okay, now right after that, what I'll do on the flip side, what we will do first, let me just take this down from here, then we say else colon over here, then if that's gonna be equal to null, then in here we'll say null simply. And also we will do a little style for this text. So in here we'll say style as usual, in here text style. Let me just take this down from here. So that's the text style, you guys can see. And in here first braces. Now let's just take this down and we will show the colors. Green, edit and comma, and add the constant modifier since it's a constant, which is fine. You guys can see that. So as I told you already, if task.dueDate not equal to null, then we will show that, and if it's equal to null, then we will show no, nothing. Now right after that, we will just go towards the main work. So what we will do now, in here first we'll say trailing, and then we'll take the row widget, because all of the icons gonna be in the row. You guys will notice that. So in here row widget first, and I'll just provide the property by the name main axis size, and we will just set this to minimum. And basically over here, that specific property by the name main axis size, it just determines how much space the widget should take along its main axis. And with it over here, you guys can see we set this to minimum, so the widget will take up the minimum amount of space along its main axis, and it will be as small as possible while just encompassing the children. Now right after that, the children, as I told you already. Now let's just take this down, and we will just call upon the gesture detector, because whenever the user will type on the specific icons, then we will add in there the tap event, and the gesture detector gonna have that click event. Okay, now have that in here, and let's just take this down, even tap click event over here, and let's just redirect this to the task view model. Then we'll say toggle task computation. We will call upon this specific method, and we are getting that with the help of instance over here. You guys can see that we created above. Now in here we call upon that specific method with a specific index for the task computation. Now right after that, what I'll do, let's have the child, and we will show the icon now. So in here icons dot check, we go with this one. You guys can see that, and with it let's add the const modifier. Now let's just go ahead and refresh the app, how to load it, and let's just check the icon. for the task completion. There we go. You guys can see now the check over here. Okay, so now if I tap on it, you guys will notice the difference. Just go ahead and tap on it. There we go. It's marked it as completed, and there we go with the green color, green check, and it's right in the font weight.bold. As I explained this earlier, right over here in detail. Okay, so from now on the task is completed, and there we go with the green color, and over here for the font weight, text is completed, is gonna go with the bold one. And from here for the title, the text is completed, is gonna go with this check one. And you guys can see as I tape over here earlier. Now let's just go down and just uncheck that. There we go, and we will add another gesture retractor for the date picker. So for a time saving, what I'll do, I'll just copy that from here to here, copy it, and down below in here paste it. And this time we will say in here, let's remove that, and we'll go with the dot show date picker dialog. That the specific method that we will get right from the business logic. And you guys can see the instance name over here, task view model. Show date picker dialog over here, and with that is going to be a specific index, and also with it we're going to show the context provided over here and comma with it. You guys can see like that. And basically that context over here, you guys can see the context over here, it's an object that basically in Flutter hold information about the location of the specific widget in the widget tree, and it is required to perform various tasks like navigating to a new screen, show a log, or access the data. And also we will just update the icon over here. We'll go with the calendar since it's a date picker, so we'll go with the calendar, that one with the rounded one. Okay, now let's just press the Ctrl S, refresh the app, and there we go with the icon of calendar. You guys can now choose the date, due date for your task, but before that I'm gonna just add the color over here. So in here property color, then we'll go with the colors dot blue, and also what I'll do, I'll just copy that from here and with the check, and then I'll just paste it over here, and we'll just change this to green. Now Ctrl S, refresh the app, and there we go with the check green and also the calendar blue. So from here, as I told you already, you can just complete that, and also with it you can just choose the date picker over here from the calendar. Just tap on it. There we go. You guys can see the calendar over here, it's working totally fine, and you can just choose the specific date. Okay, it will not let you to select a date which will be right in the past, but you guys can go further, I mean right in the future dates you guys can select. So it's Feb 29, you can even choose that 29 February, or you can just go towards the March. From here you can just select anything over here, as we added the specific work right in the method by the name show date picker dialog. You can just go towards the business logic over there, and you can just notice that as I explain this right in the business logic in detail explanation. So you can just choose it from here. I choose 5 March, and then we'll click OK, and you guys can see over here due date 2024 month 3, indicate March, and the date is 5 as I selected over there, and it's working totally fine. So you can notice the due date is 5 March. So if I tap on here, first let me just tap on it, you guys can see it's completed, and you guys can see it just crossed that, and you guys can see the checked is in the font weight dot bold. And if I now go back and just uncheck that, let's just see, it just unchecked it again because the date is right on the 5 March, is in the future. So if you just go back to the calendar again, and if I choose 29 Feb, the current day date over here, click OK, you guys can see 2024-02-29. Now over here, that's the current date. Okay, if I tap over here, it just marks as completed. And now if I go back, if I tap on that, you guys will just notice the difference. For now you guys can see it's not working, it's not unchecked that again. Okay, because I just selected the current day date, which is 29 Feb, and I have already just marked this as completed. So if you guys just choose the current day date and mark this as completed, it will not go back towards the unchecked. And if the date's gonna be right in the future, as you guys noticed already for the 5th March, it will just completed the task, checked and unchecked. You guys can have the choice, but for the future date, not for the current day date. I hope it's clear now, and I have already explained each and everything for this specific logic right in the business logic, right in the view model controller for the specific method by the name show that picker dialog, and all of the logic over there has been explained in detailed explanation. So it will work like that. Now we'll go and just choose the future date again. Let's go with the 12th March. Okay, it's the all completed. Okay, now if I just uncheck that, it will work fine because the due date is right in the future. There we go. Okay, check, uncheck, check, uncheck. Now let's move further. We will just add some space between them, the width. So what we will do over here, just take this down, and then we say size box. Let's go with the width, we'll set it to 8, and write it and comma, add the const modifier to 8. Now just press the Ctrl S, and you guys will notice the width space between them, the checked and the calendar. There we go, it's look more good than before. Now let's just copy that because we're about to add another gesture detector. Just copy that from here to here, and down below in here paste it. This time we will go with the toggle task importance, and it's gonna just take the index, specific index task importance. What I'll do now, right in the child, we'll say, let's just remove that for now. We will add a little logic over here. So we'll say if a task dot is important, if that is going to be important, then right in the if, we'll show the icon dot star. You guys can see over here. And if task going to be not important, then we'll show the star underscore border. There we go. And right, what we will do in here, first comma, take this down, then we say color, and we'll say task dot is important, then right in the if, we'll show the color dot amber, and If text not gonna be important, then we'll show the colors dot pink accent, and in here that's not going to be a constant anymore because you're having that text over here. So we'll remove the constant modifier from here and the error will be gone. You guys can see that currently we are having the icons over here, so it's not going to be constant anymore, the task over here, because of that. Now just press the Ctrl S, refresh the app, and let's just do notice that there we go with the star icon over here. From now on we didn't mark this as important, so you guys can see the pink accent color over here, and also you guys can see the icon which is star border. Okay, that one, star border. And now if I tap on it, you guys can see it will become the complete star. There we go with the amber color. So it just mark this as important. You guys can see the amber color now, and that's the star with the filled one. So working totally fine. Now right after that we will just add the click event. So whenever the user will just hold this for a little bit long, then it will just delete that specific task. And below this row over here we'll say on long press, and in here curly braces, take this down, and then we say task view model, the instance name over here, then we'll say to delete task method over here, call upon that with the specific index. We are just getting that right from the business logic, as I told you already so many times, and I have already explained this in detail before. That's the instance over here. So with the help of that we are all getting that over here. Now it will just delete the task. Let's just refresh the app and do notice that if it's work or not. Now we just refreshes the app. Okay, auto reloaded, and you guys can see we're here for now on this specific task over here. Okay, let's just go ahead and long press on that for a little bit longer. There we go, it's working totally fine. You guys can see it just deleted the task which was there before. When I long press on it, it just deleted that. Now let me just quickly for the testing add anything, add it, that is going to be the task, and just long press on that. There we go, again we just test it and it's working totally fine. Now I'll just quickly add another task. I'll say tomorrow will be my exam day. Let's just add this. Click, there we go. Now we will be working right on this detail page. We will add a new .file for that, and whenever the user will just tap on this, a single tap, it will just get the user right towards the text detail screen. So we will be working on that from now on. So we will go towards the view directory, and in here we'll just right click, get a new .file, and we will say view. Instead of space we'll give underscore task underscore detail and underscore UI. You guys can see that over here. Now in here we'll have a stateless widget, and we will give the name as task detail screen over here, and I'm gonna just take this down, and here we'll say import package footer material dot. From now on we will just return the scaffold, and that's gonna just show the totally empty white screen. Whenever the user will tap in here, it will just redirect the user on, let's say, get toward this specific screen by the name task detail screen, and in here you guys can see there will be just an empty screen because in here we return the scaffold. Now let's just go ahead to the to-do list UI. Back again in here we will add the tap event, so whenever the user will tap on that, it will just give the user right toward the task detail screen then. So for that specific purpose, what I'll do, below the long press over here we'll say on tap, the brushes over here, take this down. Now right in here we will just set the condition and we will check in here if, then we say if that index gonna be less than to the task view model instance name over here from the task list over here, then we say length. Then in that case what we will do, let's just take this down. Then in here let's just create the task over here, then we'll give the name as task, and in this task we'll now just assign the task view model dot task over here, and then we say the specific index with it and write it and semicolon. Now right after that, first just tap on this red bolt, import that model dot over here, take this down. So only in that case we will just get that to the task detail screen over here, and in here just add the semicolon, and that's fine in here. So now let me tell you about this condition, what it will do, that specific if. So this conditional statement checks if the index is within the valid range of tasks in the task view model.task list. Okay, as I told you already, it just ensures that the selected index is not out of bounds to prevent potential errors. And right after that, in here this line of code, what it will do, it will just see if the condition is true, then it will retrieve the task object at the specified index right from the task view model.task over here. You can see the list over here. This just will identify that the task list in the task view model contain the instance of the task class. Okay, as we created about that. And lastly, in here you guys can see that get to the task detail screen, it will just get the user, send it to the task detail screen. So in here you guys can see that it just navigates to the new screen by the name task detail screen, and in here using the get.to method provided by the GetX package. So we add the on tap. Now just refresh the app and let's just see if I tap on it, it will go towards the task detail screen or not. Here we are, and now if I tap on that, it will just get me toward this task detail screen, and there will be just a empty screen. Okay, white, totally white. There's a scaffold we return. Now tap on it and boom, there we go. It's totally empty screen and it's in white. Now we will go towards the task detail UI over here, and we will just add the app bar. We can even manually write it over here as we added for the to-do list UI, but we will not do that. We will not manually write it. We will just go towards the to-do list UI and just scroll up. From here we'll just copy the app bar, and with it we'll also just copy the preferred size over here and all of that, styling, the center title, the elevation. You guys can see that over here. So from this preferred size from here to here. Just make sure do not make error over here. Control C, and we will just go back to the task detail UI over here, and right in the scaffold I'll just paste it. Okay, it's right in the task detail UI, guys, remember that. Okay, do not make mistake. Now in here what I'll do, I'll just change this to the task detail over here, and all of the styling, everything will be just similar. You guys can see that. Okay, now we'll just refresh the app and just notice the changes for the task details screen. So come over here, tap on it, and boom, there we go. You guys can see over here the task detail over here with a beautiful elevation. It's right in the center, and with the text background color over here, the green and gradient color, okay, blue and purple, and all of thing over here. And I have already explained each and everything, this line of codes over here, right back in the to-do list UI above in here, so there's no need of explaining it again. Okay, now let me just take this down, go toward the task view detail UI over here, and you guys can just notice the UI over here for the task detail. Right after that, the first thing that we will show right in the task detail screen is going to be the title. So the first thing that we will do, we will just go up and right in here, first let me just create in here, first I'll say final key, then we'll say task, and then the name over here, task over here, and then I'll just provide right in the constructor, we say this dot task. You guys can see, and tap on that, we just import the attribute right from the model dot. So in here first I'll just explain that step by step. So in here the final key, this keyword is basically used to declare a variable that can only be assigned once and can be changed after the assignment. It just create an immutable variable. So in here you guys can see this is the type of the variable. It just indicate that task, that specific task will hold an object of type text over here, and this text is the name of the variable. We can just use this name to refer to the task object that stored in this variable. And right in the constructor for task detail screen over here, you guys can see we just provide this required this dot task. So basically this part is declaring a required parameter named task of type task over here. The required keyword in here, you guys can see that it just indicate that this parameter must be provided when creating an instance of the task detail screen. So now we can simply just go toward firstly to the to-do list UI dot over here. We have to provide the parameter over here, so in here we'll say task and to task, because right in the detail screen we just created that. Okay, and also the constructor, so we have to add this and pass it over here as parameter for the task detail screen. Now right after that, let's go back to the detail screen UI and get this down. Now below the preferred size over here we'll say body, and I'll just take the column widget over here, take this down, and we'll say children, take this down again. Now I'll take the text widget over here, remove that, in here comma first, and take this down. We'll say task dot title. You guys can see refresh the app, once you load it, you guys will notice the title right in the tax detail screen. Tap on this, there we go with the tax detail, and that's the title over here, you guys can see. Now we will make this more attractive. So firstly in here we'll say style, then text style, take this down. First let's just increase the font size 30.0. In here also I'll just provide the font family, we'll go with the Babus over here, and also we'll make that bold. So in here font weight dot bold over here and comma. Now just press the Ctrl S and you guys will notice that we go. It's look more good than before, you guys can see. Now in here I'll just provide the property right in the column, not in the children. There we go, there's the column. Close X element, close X element dot start. We will just set this right in the column in the start. And also with it we will do a little padding. So in here let's just swap this with a padding, and we'll say in here 16.0. All just fine. Refresh the app. Let's just go to the tax detail screen, and there we go, it's look more good than before. Okay, we successfully add the property start over here. It's going to be right in the start as you guys noticed before over here, and we add the padding, wrap the widget column with the padding. In here we just go with the edge insect.all specific widget, and we set this to all side, which is 16.0, and you guys can see the output over here for the title. This look more good than before. And basically that property over here, now we set it to start, which means that this property will just align to the start of the cross axis right on the children or the column widget. So it's going to be right in the start. Now let's move further. We will create a beautiful combination of color for this specific text. You guys will notice that. So we will use the shader. Basically it's a good way to define a complex color effects, and for that we will use the shader mask. So now what I'll do first, let me just create in here the shader, then we will just get this text right in this shader. But first let me just modify that shader, then we will just deal with the text right inside the shader mask. So in here first comma, and just take this down from here, you guys can see. Okay, now in here shader callback, that's the property, and it just tag as a function as its value. So this function will accept the React bound parameters when we have to provide that in here. So we'll say React, and with it let's have the bounds. We have to just create that over here, and curly braces, take this down, you guys can see that. Now in here we will return the linear gradient color as I told you already. For now let's just remove that, take this down. We'll say color over here, bracket first, write it n comma, and in here let's just provide the specific colors. Okay, we'll go with the blue, and also the other color that we will choose, it's gonna be purple. There we go. Now in here we'll say dot create shader, and the React gonna be the bound, you guys can see that over here. Write it and semicolon. Now for the specific tags we just add the colors, you guys can see that, and also we will do a little decoration for the specific tags, and in here we'll say child. Okay, container widget, you will set it right in the container, decoration, box decoration, and border you guys can see we'll go the dot all first. Let me just provide the widget dot all and just take this down. We'll say color, we'll go with the colors dot white, and in here we'll set the width 2.0, and in here comma. We just successfully set the box decoration to all side for the specific text. And now what I'll do, I'll just cut this from here. As I told you right in the start, we'll just cut this from here to here. Make sure, okay, cut it as you guys can see over here, and right in the shader widget you guys can see from here to here it's a shader widget, and all of the work that you guys can see over here it's right in the shader mask widget. So what I'll do, below this box decoration we'll take the child and we will also do some padding for that, for the specific text, the proper alignment. So in here we'll say padding, we'll go with the edge insect, we will apply it to the all side for the specific text, and it's going to be 8.0. and now lastly in here we'll say child, and I just paste the text widget over here as you guys can see. Okay, in here remove that one comma and all just fine. You guys can see from here to here it's a share mask, and inside that we successfully just add that text which is a title. Now I'll just clean the core from these yellow lines. For the constant, just for the constant we'll just add the constant modifier. Now let's just reload the app, refresh the app, and we will just notice the changes for the title. Now tap in here, text detail screen didn't just apply to the title. The reason, because in here we already just set the shader mask which is a blue and purple. You guys can see around it better the blue and the purple over here, but didn't apply to the text. Let me just see. Okay, in here right in the text we have to just provide the initial color. We will go with a colors dot white and write it and comma. Now just refresh the app, it will work fine this time. Tap in here and boom, there we go, it's working totally fine. You guys can see that now it just applied for the text also, the blue and purple over here with the beautiful combination. You guys can see right in the shader max effect over here. Okay, it's working totally fine. So back to the to-do list, you guys can see here the title. Let's add another, I'll say this time Big Car Fest in America. Let's just add that. Now tap on this Big Car Fest in America, and there we go. You guys can see the title over here. It's working totally fine, and there we go. So now right after that what we will do, first let me just go back to the text detail. So whenever the user will just select in here the due date for the specific task, let's say also for this one or so on, then we will show whenever the user will tap in here down below with the title in the detail screen, we will show the due date down below in here. So from now on we are done with the title, and you guys can see that below the shader mask in here we'll take the text widget over here, write it and comma, and just take this down. So in here first string, and then we will provide in here the due date text over here, as I told you already. Now we will show in here the actual due date. So in here first $sign, and then we'll go with the curly braces, have that syntax string interpolation. It just allow you to just embed expression within the string literals, and you guys already know about that because we did that at so many places in this project. Now right in there, what I'll do, we'll say task, and then in here we'll say due date. Then we'll say if that not equal to null, then we will use the conditional operator over here. So it will simply just check upon that due date property of the task over here. You guys can see if is that not null, then it will just go and we will just format the due date using the specific logic over here. What I'll say first, let's just take this down from here again, and in here I'll say if. That will indicate if. Okay, now if not equal to null, then in here we'll say task dot due date. I'll check over here, then we say dot to local and dot to string. You guys can see over here, and if that's equals to null on the flip side, right in here colon, that will indicate else, and we will show the tags by the name no due date, and that is fine. Let me just take this down from here also, so it will look more fine. And in here, take this up, press enter. Also this one, take this up, press enter. All just good. Now it's in proper alignment over here. So as I told you already, if that due date property over here, you guys can see that on the task. If that not equal to null, then write in if, we will show that, and if that's equal to null on the flip side, we will show that tag specifically. And this line of code, what it will do, you guys can see over here that tags.due date. It will just access the due date property on the task object, and over here we use that null assertion operator over here. So that's just the non-null assertion operator over here. It basically tells the dot compiler to treat the expression as non-nullable. So in our case, it just we used because the due date property is of type date time. If you guys just go back to the attributes right in the model, you guys will notice that over here. So come here, press the control and then left click on the mouse. There we go. With the model, you guys can see over here model dot dot. So that's the model dot dot, and we are getting that from here. You guys can see model dot dot, and it's date time as I told you already. Now just close that, also close that, go to the detail UI. There we go again. So it's an enable date time, and we're definitely just certain that it won't be null at this point. And over here we use that dot to local, so it will basically just convert the date time to the local time zone. The date time class provides this method just to adjust the time to the local time zone. So in here we just provide that, and over here you guys can see that dot string, we just convert the date time object to its string representation, and right at end in the else is just a tags string inside it, that tags we show that if that will be equal to null. Now we will just go ahead and refresh the app, auto-load it, and we will just check the result for the due date. So for now in here you guys can see we didn't choose the due date yet, not for this task, not for this task. Okay, if you just tap on that, it will show you right in here due date, no due date here, because we didn't select back in the to-do list, the due date. And if we just go back to the to-do list over here, and in here let's say I'll choose the due date for this. Tomorrow will be my exam day. Tap in here and we will choose 3rd March in here. Okay, click OK. So there we go with the due date 2024-03-03. Now if I tap on that, you guys will notice right in the task detail the due date. Okay, you guys can see that. And again, that one, first just choose the due date, click OK, tap on that, there we go, you guys can see 12. Okay, now we will just make this more attractive. You guys can see it's really simple. So the first thing that I will do, just to add the style down below in here, we'll say style, then as usual text style, take this down in here. First let's just increase the font size, we will set it to 25.0, and right after that I'm going to do the font style over here. You guys can see we'll go with the font style dot italic. Okay, now let's just take this down, we'll add the font family over here, and here string first, then we say babas, write it and comma. Now just refresh the app, Control S, there we go, you guys can see it still look good than before. Now what I'll do, I'll just add the foreground for this text. So in here what I'll do, as you guys know, as we added before, right, for the app bar. So for the time saving, we'll just go right at top, that's the app bar, and down below there we go, the foreground. Okay, you guys can simply just copy that from here to here. Make sure, do not make mistake, copy that, Control C, and go down over here, back again, and here press enter, paste the code. You guys can see that, and we will just change this to orange, and the other one that we will choose is going to be pink. There we go. Okay, so it's a textile and we added that property for it, and we can have this beautiful combination of two color with the share. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just press the Control S, and you guys will notice, there we go, you guys can see it's really look good than before. And the one thing that I will do further, just to take this down a bit from the title. So what we will do, that's the title, and there is and for the shader marks. So in here I'll say size box, and we'll just say height 16.0, write it and comma, and we can add the constant modifier since it's a constant. Now press the Control S, there we go, it's look more good than before, you guys can see that. So now right after that, down below in here we will just show the priority. For example, if you go back to the to-do list in here, that right on the first priority, and that is right on the second priority over here. And if I add another task over here and just add it over here right in the task list over here, it's going to be right on the third priority. So it's gonna just number the task over here like that. So what I'll do now, let's just add the priority for that. First we will add some height, so it's going to be down below in here, below this text over here. You guys can see, past that, and in here press enter. Now I'll say shader mask, you guys already know about that. Okay, I have already explained this in detail, so we'll just remove that and take this down. So right in the shader, you guys know what we will do, provide the shader callback, and in here the React bound as we did above, right in here there's the shader mask for the title. Okay, you guys can see that shader mask, shader callback, React bound, and everything is right here. already explained in detail. So let's just go down. We will quickly do that. Bound in here, give the name, and in here curly braces, take this down, and now we will return in here the linear gradient over here. So now only just remove that. We will add it down below in here, take this down. So right in there, what I'll say, colors in here, first bracket, and in there we'll say colors. We'll go with the orange, and other color will be pink. Now down in here with the layer ingredient, we'll say dot create shader, and the react going to be that specific font over here. So paste this down in here, write it and semicolon. You guys can see that. Now let's just take the text. So in here, text widget as a child over here, it's going to be right inside the shader, remember that. Okay, and we are applying that shader for this text that we are about to create in here. So text in here with it brushes, take this down, string first. Now in here what I'll say, priority over here, and then with that colon, with that dollar sign in here, curly bracket, and then we say right inside the curly braces we'll say task dot priority. So in here with it curly braces, and then we'll say task dot priority. Let's just take this attribute from the model, and in here comma. Now what I'll do, we will do a little style for that quickly. So let's just add it manually down below. The priority will say style, text style, and take this down. Font size we will choose 25.0. Now right after that, let's just take this down, and we'll say font style over here. We'll go with the font style dot italic, and in here comma. Now we'll choose the font family, Pebbles over here, and write it and comma, and we will just choose the initial color, because in here we add the shader and we have to just provide the initial color right in the text, okay, in order to get the shader effect. So in here colors dot white, as we added above, right for the shader, right in the text that color white, and also we just add it over here for this priority. Now we can just clean the code on these yellow lines since it's a constant, and all just good. Now let's just refresh the app and to check the style of the shader mask effect for the priority. Now you guys can see over here the app is refreshed successfully. Now let's go ahead and tap on that, and it must be that task. You guys can see over here in the task list, it must be right on the first priority, and that second one right be on the second priority. So tap in here, there we go, priority 1 back, priority 2. It's working totally fine. And now if I just delete that, because we add that right in the earlier time when we didn't just implement that priority for the task detail, and we are storing the data locally by using the shared preferences. So we deleted the task already. Now we will just hot reload the app to refresh the memory, since we just stored it locally. Refresh the memory of the app, and now we will add new task, as we added the priority over here, and I'll just explain each and everything in detail right over here. Now in here let's just add a new task. So we'll say in here the only way to do great work. Work is to love what you do. Let's add this as task. There we go. Now tap on that, and there we go with the priority 1. You guys can see that over here. It's working totally fine. And also, if I just add another day in the task, we'll say gym day. Let's just add that, tap on that. There we go with the priority 2. If we just go ahead and add another day, we'll say trial day at Islamabad. Let's just add that, and if you tap on that, there we go with the priority 3. You guys can see that. So it's working totally fine, and you guys can notice that over here. Okay, you can also just choose in here the deadline for that specific task in the list, also for that one. Now go towards, then go priority 1, and that's the due date, priority 2 due date, and so on. Now right after that, whenever the user will tap on this star, you guys can see it will just mark this task as important. So whenever the user will tap in here, and if the user tap on that, go to task detail, so in here we will show if that's important or not, that specific task that the user tap on. Now let's go ahead and we will do that. Now the first thing that we will do, just copy the essence block from here and below this text over here, not this text because it's right in the shader, so we have to do it down below in here. Okay, like that, and we'll just set this to 16.0. Now down in here, what I'll do for a time saving, we will just copy that shader from here to here, copy it. Okay, make sure do not make mistake, and below down in here paste it. And this time what I'll do, the shader color will be blue and the other color will be purple. Okay, now that's fine, and go towards the tags in here. I'll remove that and we'll say is important. You guys can see, and now in here I'll just remove that and we say is important. We'll just take that, and with it, if the tag is going to be important, then right in the if we'll say string and we'll say yes. And on the flip side, if that not going to be important, so in here we are using that conditional operator that going to indicate F and that going to indicate else. So in here we'll say right in the string no, and all just fine. Now we just successfully add each and everything, shader marks and their tags specifically. So I have already just refreshed the app, and in here I'll just press the Ctrl S and you guys will notice that Ctrl S. There we go, is important, yes, because for this specific task you guys can see over here the only way, if you go back in here, I tap on this star and it's just marked this as important. And that gym day in here we didn't tap on the star, so it will not be important. So in here tap on it, there we go, is important, no. And if you go back, tap on that, now it will be important. Gym day important, yes. In here trial at Islamabad, no important, there we go. You guys can see, tap in here, mark this important, yes. So it's working totally fine, and you guys can see over here that so we just successfully implement the to-do list app. And also in here you guys can see the beautiful decoration for each and everything right here that I explained in detail. And if we just tap on that, the user will go toward this task detail. In here the user can notice these several things, for example the title, due date, priority is important, yes or no. And the last thing that we will add because we are done with the task detail. Now we will go back to the to-do list. So let's just close that from here. We'll go to the to-do list.ui in here. On the tab, you will go to the task detail screen, as I told you already so many times. Now right after that, what I'll do, we will add the floating action button down below in here. So whenever the user will tap on that, it will just toggle the white theme into dark and the dark one into white. So it will just toggle that. So let's go ahead, and below this padding over here, we'll say floating action button. Now the widget over here for the floating action button over here. Now just take this down, and this button is typically falls above the content, and as I told you already, it will be right in here. You'll place that in the bottom right corner of the screen over here. Now it will just take the callback function, the click event over here on pressed, and now we'll just redirect this to the task view model instance name over here, and then we'll call upon the method by the name toggle theme and cell. It will do their specific work, and I have already explained this in detail right in the business logic, right in the controller task view model. Now in here we'll provide the tooltip, and in here string we'll say toggle theme, and right after that we'll provide the background color. Let's go with the colors dot green, and right after that we'll say child, and we'll take the icon. We'll go with the icons, dot, we'll go with the brightness in here first for S, and then if I just write back, you guys will notice this suggestion over here. So we'll go with the brightness underscore 4 underscore sharp, that one. Now just press the Control S, and you guys will just notice that there we go with the beautiful button over here. And if I just press on that, it will just toggle the theme and save it. Okay, now tap on it. There we go with the black UI. You guys can see it's look more attractive, the black one also. And if you just tap on that, let's check the other task detail screen. There we go. Now it's in black theme, and it's look more good also with the black one. Now gym one, trip, deep, long bath. Okay, it's working totally fine. So that's how you guys can just add the floating action button, and in here right in the callback function on press click event on here, we have to just use the instance name over here and then call upon this specific method by the name toggle theme and save. It will do the specific work as I showed you in here already. Now what I'll do, I'll just go with the white one, and in here the green is good, and we'll just add the constant modifier since it's a constant. Okay, and you can just toggle the theme like that. So basically that's it for this project for the to-do list, and we have completed each and everything in this project and explained it in detail, each and everything. Okay, so that's it for the to-do list. You guys can see. Now let's just close that, and we are back again right on the man.dot. All of the working for the to-do list app has been completely done with the MVVM to-do list with the GetX advanced state management. Good luck with the project.